This is the Great Library podcast / YouTube channel. As you know, I go by name Chaos Rain. I'm here with the one only Mary Brown. Mary got to go into his spiritual sermon rant, but we always got to do an introduction for those that's listening for the very first time. I don't want people to get discouraged. But if you are new to this channel, please hit the red button and hit the top notification bell where you get the uploads and the live streams here on the Great Library podcast / YouTube channel. Also, please share this video and always leave a comment during every live or upload here in the Great Library's podcast / YouTube channel. So now, no further ado, I present to you the Great Library himself, Mary
Brower. What's up? What up, kid? What up?
We got to get it.
Yeah, but yeah. So how was it? First of all, how was your Thanksgiving? Did you get? I sent you something. Did you get it?
Yes, I got it. Oh yes, I have got it.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no
my Thanksgiving was nice. And one thing was so nice because I always take the opportunity to fast a few days in advance before indulge in a lot of gluttony.
Right.
So that's how I'll say.
Yeah. I'm actually starting to fast tomorrow. The goal is to go for 7 days, but I don't know. We'll see how it go.
Trust me. Are you gonna drink water?
Yeah, I'm gonna drink water,
brother. If you never done fast, it's gonna hurt you.
Yeah. Well, the longest I've ever done is like 48 hours. So I figured what I'll do is I think it's 168 hours, 7 days.
Yeah.
And that way, if I fall short at like 72 hours. Like I say 7 days, I go 3 days. So, because normally when I do it, I always do half. Like it's just a mental thing. And, just getting off of these food drugs, man. Like food is a drug. Food can be a drug. Like,
yes,
like sugar, salt, those things are just as addictive as tobacco or any other controlled substance. Like food is a controlled substance in this society. You know what I mean? Like it's a whole bunch of things we could talk about.
Yeah.
With just in this current time. But let me ask you this. What's some of the things that you're thankful for? Now, before you answer that, I'll just say some of the things I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for, obviously life itself. I'm thankful for the good days and the bad days. I'm thankful for the people that have come into my life and those who have betrayed me, because in so many ways they've made me better. I'm thankful for losing my religion. I no longer, once upon a time, many moons ago, I was a religious man, but not in this day and time. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for obviously for my, my family, my wife, my kids. I'm thankful for, forming new relationships and new alliances, and being open to the prospect of new frontiers. I'm thankful for my business. I'm thankful for my my health and being able-bodied. I'm thankful for my mind, my intellect, and for my ability to analyze situations on a multi-dimensional front. So that's what I'm thankful for. What about you?
Well, my thankfulness is only life itself, but
hold on, okay. Hold on before you get started. And I'm thankful for chocolate cake. I love chocolate cake.
Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up. Like I said, I never put too much thought about normally these holidays. I look at it as another day. But if I just say thankfulness, I'm thankful for life. And also one thing that I will say personally that I kind of like and thankful for any people that I know or knew that I will eventually know that I have not only helped in their journey, but also probably help me if anything possible in the journey where I'm trying to embark. Not only with podcasts, but just in general. You get me? I always made a conscious effort to network since I've been using social media now for the past 11 years. I think I've gone more hard on it for the last 5, maybe 6 years at best. And it can be a blessing and curse if you don't use it properly. And I tell people many times, as long as we are human beings or entities, if we want to call it, you got to use the resource you have available and use it effectively to your benefit and your advantage.
Right.
Most people nowadays, even when the thing happened, and I had a talk with an older lady about this, that what were people doing, men and women? And since we're men, we'll say what men normally do. You know what I'm saying? And I say most people are procrastinating. A lot of people did not try to better their minds, try to learn something. Nothing. They sat back and just dilapidate and let their, let's say, potential wither out, either if they know it or not. And this is a learned lesson to a lot of people to understand. If you're locked down to your own environment without anything moving or any leisure, when you have that leisure, you should try to better yourself as best as possible. Nothing's perfect, but if you do the little small work, it's going to make wonders. So that's the only inspiring advice I'll tell people, because that's why I'm here. I tell people something that I either I'm doing or not doing to give you that sense of inspiration, because that's lacking amongst the Black experience as Black people. So that's all I can lay out right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's that's the things that we're each of us are thankful for. So that's a good thing. Now, obviously tonight, and this is something. Hey, April, this is something that you and I have talked about. Just in our personal conversations, and that this is the eugenics and the purpose of it and Black self-depopulation. And one thing that I've talked about is, and this is part of the Lee Atwater strategy, when he talked about how abstract race was becoming, because we're living in a time right now when America is in decline, and so as a result of that, consequently, Black people are in a state of decline, the Black community. And when America has the cold, Black society has the flu. It always disproportionately affects us. Whatever the negative adverse dynamics they let loose in the society, it disproportionately affects us. It disproportionately affects us because what they say, shit roll downhill. You know what I'm saying? So we're living in a time now where, and this is why, even though white people aren't going to be a majority per se, the power structure, our relationship to the power structure in the country is going to remain the same, and part of that has to do with our population. We're going to be, even though you're not going to have a majority singular racial group, every racial group or every racial category within the amalgamated immigrated society will be minorities. We're going to be the minor of the minorities. We're going to be the minor of the minority. So you see how America has become more fragmented in that, whiteness as it's been defined for the past 150 to 100 years. It's no longer a majority thing. They've become a minority too. So now everybody's going to be a minority, but we're going to be the minor of the minority. So this is going to be hyperized. You see what I'm saying? So, and the reason why I'm saying this is because part of the curse of social media is that it gives people an idea to peddle. I mean, it gives them a platform to peddle their ideas. Now, this is irrespective of if these ideas are smart, if they're reasonable, if they're logical. It doesn't have to be any of those things. Like an idea can be as errant as it want to be, but that doesn't stop it from gaining momentum or gaining popularity. But popularity and momentum isn't an indicator of if this is a good idea to espouse. We see that with Nazism. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just look at racism, look at white supremacy. It started as an idea and it's a very popular idea, but are they supreme? No. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is you have individuals who use these platforms to peddle their fucking stupidity. To peddle their stupidity. And it's become this thing now where you basically have an echo chamber. you basically have an echo chamber where there's very little diversity of thought. And I've always been a big believer that diversity of thought creates better results. It creates better results. You should have, room for opposing views and stuff like that, but this is not what you have. You see what I'm saying? And what really got me on this, because like because of the holiday and everything, like I was off all Saturday. I got home like maybe 6 o'clock Friday night, and I've been off ever since. So I ain't even knowing what to do with myself. Like I got up this morning, I was like, damn, normally I got some running to do, or I got, I got to go to work, or so I ain't have nothing to do. So I got out, ran a couple of errands this morning. I came home and just kind of lounged around and was just bored. So then I just started, reading and researching, because that's what I do when I'm bored, when I have some free time, right?
Okay.
So, and this is something I've talked about before, so I already knew it, but it was just like a confirmation of the things that I've been saying. I came across a couple of articles, and if I still don't have my computer set up, but if I did, I would actually post the article so I could show them.
Okay.
And wait a minute. If I send them to you on Messenger, could you use your screen share?
Let me see. Go ahead. Let me see what I can do.
Let me try to send them to you right quick.
While we waiting, for those that's listening, if you're new to the channel, please hit the red button, the subscribe button, and hit the top bell for notification for uploads and live streams here in the Great Rare Podcast Show. And like always, I don't really talk about my channel, people, but y'all know where to find me, Chaos Rain. Y'all can find me on YouTube. That's more I'd say.
Okay. I sent you. It's like 4 screenshots I sent you, and you can start with the first one where it has the picture of this white guy, and you can. We'll start there.
All right. It's on email,
because
right?
What happens within the discourse, like in this space where you have all these fucking idiots running their mouths with these, they have big mouths and small brains. They don't even bother to take the time to research and read what the hell they're saying. And the reason why I have a problem with it is because I understand how damaging it is and how damaging it's going to be. You see what I'm saying? Like, if for these ideas to continue to proliferate. So that's why I have a problem with it. But so like they'll get up here and they'll say things and they think they're kicking knowledge, like they think they're making sense, they think they're being logical, because what happens a lot of time is they're only looking at it from a one-dimensional aspect, or they're only looking at it coming from their own personal, the myopia of their own personal life and personal experience. You see what I'm saying? They're not really looking at it from a more panoramic perspective, or a broader view of the overall Black collective. But they'll say that this is what their message is about. They'll say their message is about the overall larger Black collective. So they'll make, sweeping generalizations about Black men, Black women, et cetera, et cetera. You have this pissing match between Black men, Black women. You have a contingent of males whose egos are so goddamn fragile that the least little sign of light given to sisters, they take it as an affront to their goddamn manhood. You see what I'm saying? So this is just where we are in the 21st century. And so what happens is it creates a gulf, a chasm between Black men and Black women. And the purpose of that is so you can self-depopulate. Within the course of what's been going on with the COVID-19 pandemic, you have had these charges about the vaccine, and this is depopulation, and there's a depopulation agenda, but they don't use any of those. They don't have to use those. Like, they don't have what they did with the Tuskegee experiment. They don't have to use that today. They don't have to use a vaccine to get you to self-depopulate. They're using the economics. They're using the economy to get you to self-depopulate. And they've been using the economics and the economy since the 1930s to get you to self-depopulate.
Can you break down that? And I'm gonna see if I can screen share, because that's something that you brought to my attention. It's something that we should examine, because when I hear about this thing about depopulation, this has been a process for the ADOS Black people that's been here in America, that built America. This was a process that's been going on for almost close to 2 centuries, since the end of what you call child slavery. And people don't understand and say, why would they want to either get rid of you? Because there's not only they need you, but they want to have an all-white state completely.
Well, but see, the purpose of self-depopulation is not genocide.
Okay.
Like when we're talking about eugenics, we're not talking about genocide. What we're talking about is population control. It's to control the population. You collectivize, centralize, and control. So you control their social spaces, you control their economy, and by you doing that, then you'll eventually do what? You'll control the way they reproduce. And through your control, through the economy, you get these people to reproduce less because of the economics. So you maintain your grip and your stranglehold over them. You maintain your grip and your stranglehold over the apparatus. This is asymmetrical white domination. So this is what you do. It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. Like one of the critiques I've made about these dudes who's talking about single mothers and shit. What you hear these guys doing, like this isn't coming from their perspective. Think about it. If 80% of you niggas are whatever y'all want to say the stat is, 51% of y'all don't have kids, then why the hell are you talking about single mothers?
Facts.
Why? Why are you talking about? Because what it is you're parroting a white male talking point. You're coming from the perspective of white male ambivalence and white male resentment. That's what you're coming from. Like you even see them when it comes to the Roe v. Wade situation, when it comes to the Roe v. Wade decision, they'll sit there and talk about the Roe v. Wade decision as if at any point in time in America's history up until that point, you held any type of foothold in the legislative or executive processes that govern that. That wasn't in your purview. That was in the purview of the dominant fucking male group. So it had nothing to do with you. But what it is you're filtering it through your fucking gender identity fucking politic. But you want to sit here and pretend like it's the way the women doing it through feminism. And what I keep telling you, what I keep explaining to them is the reason why these sisters need feminism, nigga, is because you trying to follow this shit this white man been fucking doing. When everything that he's doing is to keep you in the position you're fucking in. That was the whole point. It was never about the women. The only reason why they had it where, with the way the sex politic was constructed in the society was so they could hoard the socio-sexual power and maintain the preeminence. So the prime example of that is miscegenation. So why they have all these miscegenation laws on the books to restrict your reproduction with white women, they created entire buffer classes with black women.
Exactly.
So it was never a male over female thing. It was about you. It was about you. Like I had this conversation on a panel before, and this is why like you hear me get frustrated, because like people want to debate and what they're doing is they DWI. They be debating while fucking incorrect. You know what I'm saying? This is why, like, after a while, I just lose my patience and get annoyed with them. Because, like, if you're talking about colorism, texturism, featureism, you have to understand that these are very real phenomena that exist within the society. And where sisters are seen as not attractive, so they have a low desirability rating in the surveys and stuff like that because of the texture and the feature and the colors. As the male, they see you as the progenitor of those colors, features, and textures. See, so in the psychology of male dominance, white male hegemony, when they're sleeping with sisters, lightening the race because they're creating mulattoes, they're beautifying it. They're beautifying the black race. But when you're doing it with their women and you're creating, a mulatto too, but you created it with a white woman, you're uglifying or degrading the race. That you're dysgenically breeding. That's the whole purpose of the eugenics movement. That's what eugenics is. See what I'm saying? So we'll buy into these things through the rubric of gender, but not realizing that it was never about that. It was always about race. It was always about that. So you had these men who believed in their own preeminence and superiority as the social group, and they institutionalized those beliefs. They institutionalized those beliefs. Like I had to tell a sister the other day on Facebook when she was talking about the sexual liberation movement, but the sexual liberation movement was never a movement that sisters need because you've never been sexually restricted. You've been the most raped. You've been the most sexually assaulted. You've been the most molested. You've been the most abused. So you've never needed the sexual liberation movement. The sexual liberation movement, the women's sexual liberation movement, was about white women. Because as the way white feminists put it, white men were preaching white but sleeping black. So the women's sexual liberation movement was about having open sex with black men. That's what it was about, because the white men was doing it with black women. That's all it was. But you'll pick it up as a proxy because you haven't been properly educated on the history of it. So when you hear women's liberation movement, you start filtering it through the rubric agenda, not understanding how it was racialized. It was a racial thing. Mm-hmm. See, and this is why I said when there's an intra-group conflict amongst whites, black people are served as the collateral damage. And so now in the 21st century, it's hyperized. And you have these agents and these provocateurs acting as proxies, talking about shit they do not understand. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? And what it leads to is it leads to depopulation, because now there's a gulf, there's a chasm, there's a wedge between black men and black women. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Like we haven't even touched on the class component of it, how class factors into it. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Pull that first one up, because I've explained to people, you'll hear people talk about survival of the fittest, right?
Yeah.
Obviously unaware or either ignoring that the term survival of the fittest is not a Darwinian term. Like Darwinian never said survival of the fittest. Survival of the fittest is a capitalist term. It's a capitalist term. It was a capitalist who came up with the term. Mm-hmm. And so what these white men would do during that time, during what they would call the Gilded Age, they would take these Darwinian concepts that apply to biology, and then they would transmute it or transfer it to society. Mm-hmm. And they would define it within sociological terms and in economic terms and in political terms. So the thinking here being that, well, we're the fittest because we have the most money, we have the most political power, mm-hmm. and we're the most organized. We're not in this position as a group of men because of oppression or because of racism or because of sexism. It's because of just the natural differences between us and everybody else who's beneath us. You hear niggas make this claim today when they talking about the wage gap with women. And they'll try and justify it and contextualize why there's a wage gap, but we know why there's a wage gap. Mm-hmm. And that's why I want to read these, because it's going to, like, this is exactly what I've been talking about. And and if you read it, when we read it, it'll show you how the purpose was always so the white male wouldn't have any competition. That's all it was about. So they could hoard the socio-sexual power, dominate the sexual marketplace. As I explained to one particularly short YouTuber, not very tall in stature, all human interaction is based on sex. All of it. So that's what it was always. That's what it was always about. That's what it was always about, man. Can you resume on that?
Hold on a second, Mary. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what it was always about. When you look at Jim Crow, when you look at segregation, that's what it was about. The goal has been to push black men into an economically deprived state to make it harder for them to have families and reproduce.
I just got from Cyrillian. He said, if I could send him a link, because I told him about this conversation.
You can send it to him.
All right,
hold on. Let me finish this first and then send it to him once I get through these what you call it.
Okay, so you want me to zoom in? Can anybody see this? Let me zoom in so everybody can see the words.
Okay. Yeah, see if you can zoom in on it. But like I was saying, you know, so what you do is you push black men to the point of economic irrelevancy. You eliminate their ability to undercut the white laborer. And in doing so, you destabilize his home. You make it harder for him to have a family and for him to reproduce, because it's always been a numbers game. It's always been a numbers game. Like, even when you hear these charges that these unlearned brothers make about, well, black women have the highest abortion rate. That's a lie. It's a falsity. It's not a real stat. It's not a real stat. If you start to factor in private abortions that are done by physicians, where there is doctor-patient privilege, where those doctors don't have to disclose those numbers, then it becomes readily apparent that white women lead in abortions. White women have the highest abortion rate. That's what this whole push against abortion is about. Because that's one of the main factors contributing to white decline. And this is not something I'm making up. There was a book that was written on it in the 1980s called The Birth Dearth. And in that book that this author wrote in the 1980s, The Birth Dearth, he clearly states that the majority of that 60% of abortions are performed for white women. And one of the things that he proposed in that book was paying white women to have babies. It was paying white women to have babies. So they're in such a state at this point in time, they don't even care if these white women are single mothers. They need the babies. They need the bodies.
Yeah, they do. Oh, they need it bad now. Even with the laws about Texas said, now you can't kill a baby after 3 to 4 months. Now they only give them like a month. So they really push that you need to have these babies. And I hear a lot of feminists and so-called crazy white females don't want to do that. And I say, you going to have these babies or not, or they're going to just go import.
But you see, but this is what I'm saying. So you see how what it happens is we become proxies, because you'll hear sisters, and I've told you sisters that too. Stop trying to police our bodies. You ain't never been policed. So when you're saying that, you're talking like you're a white woman, like you're a white feminist. You ain't never been policed. Mm-hmm. So that ain't never been, like, we ain't never had, black men have never had a legislature to go to and say, okay, now y'all can't have y'all got to have babies. So and that's what I'm saying. The Roe v. Wade decision really wasn't even about you. It really wasn't even about you. And even if you look at the opinions and the views on abortions, men and women are actually in majority in agreement on it. Mm-hmm. Men and women are actually, the majority of men and women are actually pro-choice for obvious self-serving reasons, both of them. But in the political discourse, the way the politicians in the political theater displays it, they'll make you think that it's a gender thing. But that's so they can control you. When you look at the public opinion polls on it, that's not the case. But this is how they politicize it. The politicians politicize it. Both the conservatives and the liberals, the Democrats and the Republicans. They politicize it for that purpose. So you have a lot of people peddling and parroting stuff because, as we know, Negroes do not pay attention to politics. Mm-hmm. So and then, man, you be saying off the wall stuff. When I know good and well what I'm saying is on point and inaccurate. It's only beyond a pale to you because nobody has told you. You haven't researched it for yourself, and you're listening to this chorus of idiots who don't know what the fuck they talking about, and who I will chew up in a debate, and they know it. Mm-hmm. Because they're like, you could just go verify it. But let me read this. Let's read this right quick. Okay. Did you zoom in on it?
Yeah, but I don't want to zoom in too much because I can't scroll up and down for some reason. If I zoom in, it's going to stay where it is. So I'm just going to leave it right there.
What's up, Cerulin? Okay, I'm going to try and read it from my... can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, go ahead. Yeah,
Okay, well, this is
that. We're gonna have to just figure out. Go ahead.
yeah, this right here is social Darwinism, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, this is where these in the Gilded Age, these great white male philosophers and businessmen and thinkers would take these Darwinian concepts that Darwin only intended for in the realm of biology and for the orientation of species, and then they began to take it and apply it to the society and to the politics and to the economics. You see? So this right here is what they call social Darwinism. It says soon some sociologists and others were taking up words and ideas which Darwin had used to describe the biological world, and they were adapting them to their own ideas and theories about the human.
Mary, is my volume right? Something happened? Hello.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, you just went silent.
Yeah, see, that's what's gonna happen. Damn, I need to be able to read it. Let me see.
Oh shit. Okay.
It says in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, these social Darwinists took up the language of evolution to frame an understanding of the growing gulf between the rich and the poor, as well as the many differences between cultures all over the world. See that? So it was an economic thing. It was an economic thing. You know, this whole notion of survival of the fittest. This is why what they were saying was the logic was, well, the reason why we have all the power, the reason why we control capital, the reason why we control the institutions is because we're the fittest group. Survival of the fittest. It's not racism, nigger. It's not misogyny, bitch. We're just in the position we're in because we are the fittest group in the planet. White men have built a civilization. Like, this is the shit you hear Jordan Peterson them saying, and these niggas sit up here. I'll chew Jordan Peterson up. You know what I'm saying? This these niggas daddy figure. They don't even understand. They're stupid, man. You know, that's what I be saying. Then you wonder why when you're sitting on there having this come to Jesus moment with this white boy, and then you start talking about, well, shit, black women even like white men. Then that white dude tell you, oh yeah, they should like us. I mean, we got bigger, smarter, we have higher IQs than you niggers. Now all of a sudden, let's hold on, wait a minute now. So I'm saying, but when he was using that same racism against the sisters, you was trying to be aligned with him, dumb nigga. See, they want to try to make it like it's separate and apart, but it'll never be separate and apart. One gonna lead right to the other. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. You see what I'm saying? So this was the justification that they were using, because they were hoarding the resources, and by hoarding the resources, they were hoarding the socio-sexual power. They were hoarding the socio-sexual power, even though nothing in the society that exists did they build on their own. The first person who took a bullet for the Revolutionary War was a black man. So what are you talking about? The group of men who saved the Union were black men when they enlisted in the Union Army. Because up until then, the Union was losing.
You know why? Because they already trained a set of our people to worship and follow them for a good long time. Even to people don't understand. And a good book to look at that explains more is the religious instructions of the Negro, which I haven't read. But I bought it because one guy that is Afrocentric that wrote a book about how to make a Negro Christian. He explains a good detail the history of when they start bringing black people, men and women, wherever the case may be, to this country back in 1607, and their purpose why I do it. And through the process, the slave process and the reprogram process, they had to change how they think and view of them while they were beaten their ass, torture, etc. Even to the point where forcing this so-called false god in them to make them completely submit their will to them. So when that revolution really popped off, it made sense that this man was going to take a bullet, because they need somebody to start the fire. Use a Negro. He's protection. He's cannon fire.
Right.
And, so where's the back? So yeah, you want to switch to the next slide? Next slide.
Yes, it's 6 in the next slide. Yeah, we're gonna get through this right quick, then we can bring some ruling because I know we got a lot on it.
Hold up. Let me hold on. Let me manipulate here because sometimes I gotta see
Okay.
which slide. Let me exit that one. And let me see if this is the one. I'm gonna share this. See if this is the right one. Because okay. Is this one?
Damn, that one even harder to read. You got to zoom in some. I can't read that. Okay, I'm getting old. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's the one I want. Now check this out.
Okay.
It says the explanation they arrived at. Yeah, you break. I can't read that.
All right, let me zoom in. Can you see it good? Because if I zoom, I can't see it.
Go ahead. Okay. Damn. The explanation they arrived at, businessmen and others who were economically and socially successful were so because they were biologically and socially naturally the fittest. Conversely, they reasoned that the poor were naturally weak and unfit, and it would be an error to allow the weak of the species to continue to breed. They believed that the dictum survival of the fittest
by not
a term coined not by Charles Darwin but by sociologist Herbert Spencer meant that only the fittest should survive. I remember I told somebody that on Facebook, no. I'm like, man, I ain't got time to be debating with this shit. You can just go look it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, these niggas be wanting the DWI debating while incorrect. Like, I'm just making it up. Like, I just popped up one day and I said, I'm just going to lie and say Charles Darwin didn't even coin the term survival of the fittest. You see what I'm saying? So you got to go to look at what informed Herbert Spencer to say what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And this was just as much a capitalist thing as it was racial, or as it was gender. Like I said, like when you're looking at this gender war with niggas, really what it is a class war, because really what they're fighting over is the lack of fucking resources and power that neither one of them got.
I wish I had a bomb, but I don't got it right now. Continue.
So I'm saying, so I keep trying to explain this to these niggas. Mm-hmm. So you hear a brother complaining about this woman. You got to pay child support. So and I understand. Yeah, you hurting because you ain't got the money, but the sister ain't got it either. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying, like I had one dude tell me, man, these women just want money, man. These women, and I had to explain to him, no, women and children need money, like as if it's optional. They need money. It ain't just that they just want money. They need money, and it ain't nobody's fault that you ain't in control of no money. That ain't nobody's fault, but yours. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying. So let me keep reading. That only meant that only the fittest should survive. Now, when they're talking about survival in that context, it's not talking about individually. It's talking about as a group. So this is why they disproportionately, overwhelmingly gave the jobs of the industrial age, of the industrial era, to the white men, so that the white men could function as breadwinners and heads of households. Because guess what they knew? They knew that was going to bolster their numbers. It's connected with the whole marriage, the whole marriage counseling thing. Like I talked about, where you get marriage counseling from, because I think during World War I, the Great Depression or something like that, because these white men didn't have no money, because the wealth was even at that time was concentrated amongst the top 1%, even in white society, and then you had the Depression. So now these men ain't got no money. It was destabilizing their home. It was destabilizing their home. This is part of the reason why Roosevelt had to come up with the New Deal legislation to prop up the society, white society, the proletariat class. So I'm saying, because if he didn't, it was going to be destabilized. So when you see a woman acting up because her nest is becoming destabilized, that's not wrong. That's natural ebb and flow. That's the natural ebb and flow. Like you even see it, like I told you, niggas be looking at lions, they think lions patriarchal. Not understanding that the lions are matriarchal setup just like hyenas, dummy. You know what I'm saying? They're both the matriarchal setup. And what happens, that lion who, yeah, he got all these little lionesses, bitches, and he can procreate with them. What happened is if that lion is not able to fulfill his obligation, they run his ass off. Mm-hmm. They run his ass off. So it's not optional. This isn't some specialized pathology with sisters. Mm-hmm. They need the stability and the security. They need that. Mm-hmm. Because they need you to do for them what they can't do for themselves. Because you're the biomachinery that women use. And women are the biomachinery that children use. And the system that you build as men is what you use. And so what happens over time, the more efficient you become at building the systems, the less reliant on you the women become, and they become more reliant on the system that you built and that you maintain. So niggas don't even understand human development, how you get civilization and maintain it. But talking about what the hell they want to lead. Okay, let me keep reading. It says,
unlike Darwin,
these sociologists and others were not biologists. They were adapting and corrupting Darwin's language for their own social, economic, and political explanations, while Darwin's theory remains a cornerstone of modern biology to this day.
Pause. Mm-hmm. Read that again, because something that it just caught my attention. Read that sentence.
They said, I'm gonna read from the beginning of the paragraph. Yep. Unlike Darwin, these sociologists and others were not biologists. They were adapting and corrupting Darwin's language for their own social, economic, and political explanations.
Stop. Mm-hmm. See right there? I want y'all to sink into all you brothers and women that they were manipulating and adapting and corrupting for their own gain. Exactly. What Darwin created back in the 1800s, these white boys knew and said, we're going to take your concepts and we're going to re-engineer it for our benefit, for the collective. So when they look at Darwin, it's not they don't really care what his beliefs are. They say, how this could better us as a collective, as white men. That I want people to really pay attention to. Continue.
Right, exactly. And this is what they would do. And so those men who believe that, they would institutionalize it. So it got institutionalized in the banking system. It got institutionalized in the judicial system. It got institutionalized in the political system. So it became interwoven into the very infrastructure and fabric of the society, the beliefs, the narratives that come from these institutions. Mm-hmm. And so now all that for the day for you in your ignorance, because you don't take the time to read nothing or research nothing, you sit up here and get on the bullhorn running your goddamn mouth. Not even either not understanding or ignoring what is the summation of everything that you're saying. What is the summation of it? What does it mean? See, so and this is what we do. I need that next slide, Chaos. It should be two more.
Okay.
Exactly, Todd. He said they were strategic. Exactly, and it's not like this stuff wasn't done and then just stop. It never stops. They continue to do it. Like it's always adapting, reinforcing itself, just like the Matrix. Mm-hmm. Just like the Matrix. So the machines are steadily adapting the very fabric of the world around the slaves in the Matrix to continue to facilitate it, and this is what they do. Mm-hmm. So they just refine it and get it to become more subtle and more nuanced. As I said, they don't have to seek to depopulate you through forceful means or through forced vaccinations or sterilization. They do it through economy.
Bingo.
So now the black tax that you experience as an adult, you see it as compounded through your own goddamn progeny, but telling me you patriarchal. So now, because of the economic inconvenience of having a child, You mad at the goddamn world and mad at the woman. Because you're inconvenienced from taking care of your child. But not inconvenienced because the child is an inconvenience. You're inconvenienced because these people are oppressing you economically. But you want to ignore that and want me to ignore you ignoring that. This ain't nothing new, I'm saying. I've been telling these niggas this the whole goddamn time. So it ain't nothing new. When you look at, you want to talk about the wage gap, they'll sit here and talk about why, you know, the wage gap for women don't exist. But what about your wage gap? Because you got a wage gap. You have yet to reach income parity with the white male counterpart, which means you do the exact same work at the exact same rate with the exact same efficacy and get paid less. Some 30% less. So when he gets $1 for the work, you get 70 cents for the work. Why is that good enough for you? And so if they're doing that to you, what you think they're doing to your woman?
Less. And not only that, here's a caveat. Because they employ her, that means they're paying her even less now. She not.
That's the same slide you had up. Like, we seen that with Monique. When Monique was talking about how Netflix hasn't paid a black female comedian, everybody want to act like they don't know what she's talking about. Oh man, I mean, maybe it's because of other stuff that you ain't get a sick. I mean, you ain't did a tour in a long time. But I know what it is. That's why when she was saying, I said she ain't lying. She right.
She's right. Yeah.
She's right.
And you know she got a lot of flank throughout.
And then you wonder, then you wonder why your woman is sitting up here doing degrading stuff like ghetto gaggers. You wonder why.
Yeah.
Not realizing how that says more about you than it does her. As a group. Like I told you, like they mad because like they talking about penis and beyond. These niggas got vagina. They may be mad if these women could go on OnlyFans and show their body and do stuff and become millionaires and make money. I'm like, I get it. Because if it was a place I could go and take off my shirt and get $1 million in a goddamn day, I would do it. Who wouldn't? You'll be stupid not to. But what it is you mad because the world don't work for you the way it worked for her. You mad. And then really want to sit there. That's what I'm telling you. Like be sitting there like they towering pillars of masculinity. You niggas serious? You got to zoom in on that so I can read it. And then I got one. I think it's one more after this one.
All right, let me do it now. Let me finish read it so I could go to the next slide. Where am I? Hold on. Okay, I'll finish read it.
Okay.
And hold on, damn my phone, my computer. One second, guys. Gotta plug this in. All right, good. Where was that? Okay. While Darwin's theory remains a cornerstone of modern biology to this day, the views of the social Darwinistic are no longer accepted as they were based on erroneous interpretations of the theory of evolution. Next slide.
Right, and when they say that it's no longer accepted, they're talking like within the realm of serious academia because these things are still proliferated in society. That conservatives use it all the time. That's basically the bedrock of the conservative talking points. Like we have to pay attention to how, just generally, naturally speaking, white men portrayed black men as inherently feminine, less masculine or aberrantly masculine, because of their blackness, right? So now race has become abstract, like Lee Atwater said. So now they don't say that you're feminine because you're black, or that he's simply feminine because he's a nigger. No, he's feminine because he was raised by his mama. He ain't got no fathers in the home, so now he's feminine. So you see how it's the same goddamn thing? They just refine it. They just make it something else. So it's no longer that black men are feminine because they're black. Now they're feminine because they wasn't raised with a daddy. So this is how they do it, and this is what they did with the narrative, even during that time. Like we never had the conversation of Black family and what was going on in Black community on our own terms. Even the Black sociologists, like the Hares, Nathan Hare and his wife, we just took these things from white society, like from sociologists like Daniel Patrick Moynihan, and then we just had a debate there. But that's the narrative they gave you. So you never dealt with it yourself on your own, from your own perspectives. So, but Gloria Steinem, and I'm not saying she didn't, but what I'm saying is, don't talk about how they're undermining the family through the sisters, but then you don't want to talk about how they're undermining the family through you, through getting you to buy into it on the male side. It takes two to tango. This is what I've been like. You create this dichotomy. So you prop up these myths of white manhood and white womanhood as the standard, as the norm, while at the same time, through the system, through the economy, through the policy and the politics, making it impossible for Black men to live up to what men were expected to do under white manhood, and making it impossible for Black women to live up to what white womanhood meant and what women were supposed to do under white womanhood. So you make it where neither one of them can fulfill it. But because you've internalized it and deified it and look at it as the standard and as the norm, and what is normal and normative, now you see each other as abnormal. So how can the two be made one? Explain that. So you operate from a self-serving disposition, trying to lie like at one time Black society was some utopia. There was this, everything was just going fine, and then all of a sudden it was the Lyndon Johnson Great Society legislation. But what they don't tell you and what they will ignore is how much of the policies that were implemented under the Great Society legislation were then gutted. They were gutted because you have to remember, Lyndon Johnson didn't run for re-election. He didn't run for re-election.
He died.
No, he didn't. No, he said, "I'm not going to seek my party's nomination." I forgot who ran in place of him, but they didn't win. So you have to realize from 1968. I can't remember what year he left office, but from Lyndon Johnson,
68.
From 68 all the way up until Bill Clinton, you only had one Democratic president, and he was a one-term, and that was Jimmy Carter. So in that whole time, the conservatives, the Republicans, they just gutted everything Lyndon Johnson did. And then what happened, you hear these niggas. Lyndon Johnson said if he do that, he gonna have niggas voting for Democrats for the next 100 years. Why? They don't even understand political science. Because at that time, it was not politically expedient for Lyndon Johnson to do what he did with the Great Society legislation. There's a reason why no Democratic president has won a majority of the white vote. Why? No Democratic president since that time has won a majority of the white vote.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. But we know why.
Today?
Yeah, but we know why. The reason why no Democratic president has won a majority of the white vote is because of the legislation that Johnson enacted. Which this is how the South went from blue to red. But they'll tell you the party switch didn't happen. How are you talking about it didn't happen? I can go look at the goddamn map and see where it was blue, then it turned red. How it turned red then? It's not, the South didn't become less conservative. So how did the color switch? How did conservatism become identified with red and liberalism with blue, when I know that originally conservatism was identified with blue and liberalism with red? How did it switch then? If the party didn't switch Ben Shapiro, but these niggas are listening to Ben Shapiro and them thinking they're kicking out because they ass is ignorant and stupid. But then when you try and tell them Oh, you saying outlandish stuff, Amiri. But I know better. So you had all this time where they were able to go in and just gut whatever Lyndon Johnson did. So a lot of the policies that he enacted got rescinded. They got gutted. This is what gave rise to the Reagan Revolution.
Or we call Reaganomics.
Yeah. This is what gave rise to the Reagan Revolution. Like where you get where now affirmative action benefits white women. That was Ronald Reagan who did that. That was Ronald Reagan who did it. So it didn't make any sense. And this is why I've been telling the government that came in and you see what I'm saying? That's not what happened, man. That's not what happened. Johnson had his own personal reasons for enacting that legislation. Even though it was political suicide. What Johnson actually said, what the quote actually is he said we'll have lost the South for I forgot how many generations. He ain't say nothing but I had these niggas voting. See, this is a lie that they peddle to make it think that we traded the vote for a fucking handout. This is why they call entitlements to imply that you're somehow getting something you don't deserve or you haven't earned when the money from the entitlement is coming from your taxes. So how is it an entitlement if it's your money?
Your money. Yeah, just like the stimulus. It's your motherfucking money.
and not only that, Robert Moffett, who came up with the study for the Clinton administration, at the behest of the Clinton administration, when they were doing the Welfare Reform Act, what he found was that welfare had more of a negative impact on white family structure than black family structure. Why? But I know why. Because your home was already goddamn destabilized. That's why you needed the welfare. Because you were already pushed to a point of being impoverished.
Or irrelevance.
Yeah, of economic irrelevancy. And that was something they did in the 1930s. Like, they just totally ignored the labor movement. I'm like, you see what I'm saying? Like, this is why they enacted the Bacon-Davis Act. They enacted the Bacon-Davis Act so you couldn't get it, so it keep you unemployed. And ever since then, black men have had double-digit unemployment. It's the same thing they did when they flooded the country with European immigrants. They flooded the country with those European immigrants because if they didn't, black men would have had a monopoly on the labor market for this coming burgeoning industrial revolution and industrial age. That's actually what the Civil War was about. Moving from an agrarian society coming into this new burgeoning age of industrialization that was already taking place in Europe. So, okay, slide in on this one.
All right, let me go back. Let me look where I'm at. Okay, let me zoom in. Can you read it? Because if I zoom in, it's gonna be a problem. Let me.
Man. Okay. Okay, here it is right here. Social Darwinian language like this extended into theories of race and racism, eugenics, the claim national superiority of one people over another, and immigration law. So we know who they're talking about. Many sociologists and political theorists turn to social Darwinism to argue against government programs to aid the poor, as they believed that poverty was the result of natural inferiority. See that? So we've been conditioned to think of poverty as a personal moral failing and not actually coming from a system of economic deprivation and greed. And here's the kicker, because I always talk about how everything is dualistic about how these things are binary, but you have to realize that wealth and poverty came into existence at the same time. You can't have one without the other. And it's the same thing that creates them. It's surplus resources is what creates wealth and what creates poverty. So when one person or one group hoards the surplus resources, everybody else who don't have it automatically becomes poor. This is why we say the haves and the have-nots. But you think that the black community or these people don't have any money because they having kids out of wedlock, because they pooped and ray. You niggas dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And because you're able to adapt to the system a little bit better than they are, you want to act like there's something wrong with them. But you don't want to blame the system. You don't want to look at the system as abnormal just because, see, I adapt to it very well. I'm always, I'm a survivor, nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm always land on my feet, but I still understand that the game is rigged. I still understand that the system is some fucked up shit. So I don't necessarily look down on people for that. What I look down on is you not having the will to do anything about it. That's what I look down on. But I understand the way that is actually constructed. So, like I said, they took these beliefs and imbibed these beliefs in the institutions and the narratives that came from the institutions. And so we believe it. It's part of the part of the eugenics agenda. And the final analysis is all the same thing. So how you gonna have a problem with the alphabet agenda, but you don't have a problem with your agenda? You don't have a problem with the red pill agenda. You don't have a problem with the pump and dump agenda. When the bottom line is it's the same goddamn thing.
Mm-hmm.
It means you die out. It means you don't procreate. It means you self-depopulate. So what's the difference?
No, I got a better word they call it. Suicide.
Yeah.
You commit suicide. And mind you, we all know the European man is accustomed to committing suicide toward himself and others. What I mean, when he can't be able to economically be financially stable, or something that will lose his benefit where he cannot sustain himself, what he does, Amiri, he commits suicide.
Right.
Well, it's hard to commit suicide for a Negro because we don't have that will or wherewithal to do that like that.
Right.
So what's the next best thing to make a group of population of people just kill themselves? By killing economically.
Exactly. So you create the economic environment that where these people cannibalize, they self-cannibalize. See, the aversion to children, which is what I'm alluding to through this whole thing, is one part of it. But it's multifaceted, it's multidimensional. The other part of it is you divorce sex from human meaning. So we assign no human value to sex or to the process of reproduction. You devalue that, dehumanize that. The other part of it is you get these people to engage in hyper-consumerism, to value things over people. You get them to value things over people. Another thing is you flood their communities with illegal drugs, making both a demand and a supply for the illegal drugs. So you kill two birds with one stone, knowing that this community will engage in turf wars and kill each other. And then whoever wins, you take and put them in jail. You take them and put them in jail. So now those men can't procreate, and the men that died off, they can't procreate because they're in the grave.
Suicide.
Right. So when you're looking at the position that sisters are in, this is what was happening. It's like this is what was done. We know this is what was done. Like it ain't. You see what I'm saying? The only reason why you see this thing that you're seeing in this day and time is because I know what it is. The cocaine, like that whole thing, waned. That scourge, that the crack cocaine, that's what was disproportionately taking black men off the chessboard. You have to look at the mortality rate. What happened when crack hit? The mortality rate of black men between the ages of, I always forget the damn age. I think like 15.
I think it was like
30.
It was
13 maybe, or something like that, to 35. Yeah. It damn near quadrupled the mortality rate. Now these men wasn't out there doing that to each other because they ain't had no goddamn daddy. They were doing that to each other because they were fighting for over territory in the lucrative drug trade, which is what all male groups do.
Economics.
But when it come to you, but when it come to you, they're gonna say it's because you feminine, because you ain't got no daddy. So they get you to buy into it. Mm-hmm. So you never really deal with what the core issues are. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that not coming up with a dad isn't adverse. I know that. I'm not saying that it's not. What I'm saying is that the black community didn't transform overnight because you ain't had no damn daddy. It was the economics. It was the socio-economics. So this doesn't arise from some black pathology. Like black people aren't predisposed to being Pookie and Ray Ray and single fucking mothers. Like you see it all the time. Like I see brothers talking about, how sisters look at baby mamaism and stuff like that, and they'll rather be a baby mama than a wife. Can you blame them? Mm-hmm. It ain't nobody's fault that for these sisters, they looking at being a baby mama is more attractive than being your wife. Mm-hmm. And we know why. Marriage benefits you economically and financially more than it benefits this woman, because more times than not, these sisters are gonna have to come in there and work and help you pay bills. Mm-hmm. And then while they doing all that, you still expect them to do the whole traditional thing too. Mm-hmm. So who gonna sign up for something like that? Like if you're not offering nothing better and you ain't offering no alternative, how you gonna criticize them for doing what they doing? That's what I be wanting. Like you ain't even trying to do nothing. If you tell brothers they supposed to organize and create an institution or build something, that's the if you build it, it shall come. You should be wanting to build for yourself anyway.
Yeah, at least.
What are you talking about? So I'm saying you should be wanting to do that anyway. Don't you have the will to do that?
Yeah. I tell you, man, they put this Negro out of work, man.
Yeah, now hold up, scroll up, and it's something else I want to read right here.
This can't scroll up, so guys, zoom in. Let me zoom in.
Okay. All right. Okay, Herbert Spencer gave as an example a young woman from upstate New York named Margaret, whom he described as a gutter child because government aid had kept her alive. Margaret had, as Spencer wrote, proved to be the prolific mother of what did I say, Chaos? I can't see that.
Descendants
who were idiots, drunkards, lunatics, paupers, and what's the other word?
Paupers and prostitutes.
Exactly. And I've heard Judge Joe Brown make that same assertion on Brother Ron channel We All Be TV. And when I hear him say that, I vehemently disagree. Mm-hmm. I vehemently disagree. So where does that narrative come from? Who created that narrative? Who created that narrative? Like, because that's what the thinking is. Well, if these women have more children, they get more money. Does it really work like that? Mm-hmm. Has it ever really worked like that? Mm-hmm. Or are you just repeating something you done heard? Mm-hmm. Because from their vantage point, their perspective, they're trying to preserve their position and their power. Mm-hmm. And so what this means is that they must control the white female body and black bodies. Mm-hmm. That's what this means. Mm-hmm. So that was the whole point. Okay, get that last one. I want to read something right quick.
No, I'll read it because it's gonna be hard to read the rest of it.
Now I ain't talking about this one. Like you can read that one and go to the other one.
Another slide?
Yeah, the last one is one more slide. Then you can bring Cerulean up.
Let's see. Let me see if this is the one. Let me drop this down.
Exactly, Todd. And that's why I said, like you'll hear like people will be making class arguments thinking they arguing gender. But really what you're talking about class, because it's this stuff is synthesized by the economics. Okay. Yeah, I can see this one. It says revise their understanding of progressive era labor legislation, and note that many of the rules restricting labor force participation by women and children were not there to protect women and children from exploitative employers or from degrading and destructive work, but to protect white male breadwinners from competition, and to make it so that the grossly misnamed unemployables would have a harder time reproducing. That's what they did to black men. That's what they did to black men. And that started in the 1930s when they passed the Bacon-Davis Act, which created a minimum wage. So what that minimum wage did was it prevented black men from undercutting the white laborer. So if you're a white employee who's already predisposed to hire another white man like yourself, that good old boy network, but he's just a little bit too high, you need to get the labor done cheaper. And you got a black guy right here who's just as qualified and just as capable and willing to do the work, and he'll do it for pennies on a dollar to what this white guy do it, then you're gonna go with him. But if you institute a minimum wage where you got to pay them both the same thing, regardless of whatever, then you're just gonna go with the white guy. So that's what they did with the Bacon-Davis Act. And ever since that Bacon-Davis Act, you see an uptick of single female-headed households, and you see an uptick of double-digit black male unemployment. In many of these areas, what can I ask?
A side note, because you mentioned that they instituted this back in the early 30s, particularly 1930, if that's the actual date. Right. I've watched a brief little skit documentary, and they talk about minimum wage. And normally this was talking about during the end of the 1800s, particularly 1895, when people were like working as waiters and stuff. They were twinkling at that time. Not sure there was anything passed at that time, but they are already pushing forth of it, figuring ways to pay people, a certain wage to control like wages. But when we look at 1895 to 1930, that's a period of roughly, if my math is right, 35 years. Yes, around 35 years.
Right.
Now we look at almost 3 decades later, they decide now, because after the Great Depression, and then we were emerging, with a lot of things, trying to come out of this during what's the name? Roosevelt era.
Right.
They say, what? Since these black men are already skilled and they're doing very well, we bombed their shit and also, and they're still able to feed themselves because of wages. Let's mess around with that. And they come forth with this during the 30s. You get me?
Right. Yeah.
And think about it, this ain't can't play until after they start decimate certain economies black people were doing right by themselves during that time. So how to make it much rougher so it makes it a little harder? You create wages. See how it works? This is all planned. Nothing is like this. This is all designed. They just find ways how to keep you crippled, black man, economically.
Right. And this is another thing, like, because you hear like the welfare state in the 1960s, it was already a welfare state. Where like you can't have an industrialized society without a welfare state. The only way you can have an industrialized society is with a welfare state. So it was already a welfare state. The only reason why you're saying that the welfare state uses it as a negative connotation is when black people start getting it. But you wasn't calling it one when they was getting it with the fucking New Deal. So your ass is acting as a proxy. You're acting as a proxy. See, the industrial class, the industrialists, they have to prop up the quality of life of the workers to work in their industries that create the wealth for them.
Yep.
Because that's how they're going to be more efficient. That's how they're going to be more efficient. So even the way we litigate government is errant. Because these things have been politicized for an agenda, for a purpose, so that one group can maintain a preeminent position. So they institutionalize these beliefs and these narratives. They did the same thing with women with this whole notion of a woman's place is barefoot and pregnant. Not because they really believe that, which some of them may have, but not because necessarily they really believe that. But what it really was they feared white women and black men being able to create a power dynamic that black women and white men had. So the thinking here being, if you give women, for example, suffrage, then we're already insecure because of our own inadequacies in comparison to the black male athletic prowess in body in the mythology about his BBC. Mm-hmm. So if we give these women the right to vote, then sure enough, they'll go against our system of patriarchy and white male domination because they want to get it on. They got a thing for the pepper with these niggers. Mm-hmm. So we got to restrict the white woman too. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because what happens, what threatens the system, what threatens the culture is the maternal instinct. That's why I said patriarchy begins where it ends. It has the same, it's the source, the maternal instinct. So if you have white women who are sleeping with black men and having children, who from that perspective are essentially niggers because their dad is black, then what happens to your system of white superiority when now the maternal instinct of the white mother doesn't want to see her child oppressed? Mm-hmm. So now the maternal instinct is threatened. It's the exact same argument they make with the women, with black women, because this is what these men feel like in patriarchy. The women are just pawns, proxies of power. The real aim and the real goal is the subjugation of other male groups, because it's a mating strategy. You see what I'm saying? So this is how they do it. This is how they did it. This is how they would do it. This is how they would do it, man. And so now, in this day and time, you got individuals picking these things up, saying shit that they're not even understanding where it come from or what the purpose of it was, man. And peddling it. And this is who we give credence to. And we buy into it and believe it. We buy into it or believe it. Like, people talking about to afford to have children. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying just go out and have a bunch of kids, but what the fuck you mean afford to have children? Afford? Isn't human reproduction just a God-given right, which is just as evident as any of the others that are quantified in the Constitution? What the hell are you talking about? Afford? What are you saying? Like I asked somebody that. What are you saying? Are you saying that only the middle class and the wealthy should be able to reproduce? Actually, and if you are saying that, hold on, Cass, let me finish, and then if you are saying that, and that is what you're saying, then we have to follow that line of reasoning out to its logical conclusion. And the logical conclusion is that your black ass dies out because you're the least affluent group in the society. You're the group who can least afford children in the society. That's the whole goddamn point. So they want you thinking like that. They want you to think that way. So you will develop the view you have of children. We don't believe in the sanctity of children, man. We don't believe that children are sacrosanct. We look at children as a burden, and that's the way they designed it on purpose. On purpose. Even if you look at the distribution of welfare benefits, it's disproportionate. It's disproportionate. Most of the welfare benefits, like the highest shares of welfare benefits, goes to the white society, man. It don't go to black women. Boom. It doesn't go to black women. So what are you talking about? I'm done, man.
All right. Boy, let me tell y'all something, man. Just to add on to this, and let me stop sharing this. I'm done with this. And I'm gonna open the panel for people that want to time it on this, because this is very deep. It's like this. You hear it from enough context. You hear it from KS. We're talking about the men. He had a little stream on that with the men, and he goes down on the women to a degree. But let's be honest. I want black people to hear me well. And this is why I don't advocate certain behaviors in the long term. I don't preach on my channel, but I'll say it personally. They really want you to start having kids, but they can't tell you personally your fucking face because you're fucking stupid. So what the best way you do? They'll do it economically because you didn't have the money in the first place. So I'm telling black man, listen to me good. Everything what you seeing most content creators do now, that's trying to instigate and program young, feeble-minded idiots, our children that are going to be young adults, is all intention because we are on a process of suicide. Keep that in mind. Anytime you're in content create saying anything about you can't afford it or you're worthless or whatever case, I'm not going to give names, so you know what I'm talking about. They're actually telling you commit suicide. And this is, and let me tell you something, bro. I can see why most people don't like you. You know what I'm saying? Even ones that know that you had to fall out last couple years, right?
Yeah.
All attention because let's be honest, these niggas don't give a fuck about black people or black man and black women. It's all about the money.
Exactly.
You explain and just give a thorough education of what the real thing is, not the anger, but really what the reality is, in an hour and almost 30 minutes. So and think good. Why is it hard? Why are you so economically deprived? Even to the point now you're thinking that you can't afford children, you don't want to take care of them because it was designed that way, you idiot.
Exactly.
Now, most men could probably do somebody, but as long as we're in these systems, you ain't doing shit. But lift up a piece of paper and write it and whatever. So my rant is done. I'm gonna open up the floor now. I will drop the link for those who have questions for Mary, and let out the general himself, the one part or the general of the Gray regime himself. Cerulli Gray. Cerulli there.
No, greetings, James Jones.
What's good?
Hey, what's going on,
Cerulli? What's good? Hey, Cerulli, before you
you
say something, you've been trying to say this now for as long as when I come across Mary and listen to both of y'all. And I tell you, I know that niggas are stupid and they want to stupid, but at times you have to re-educate these niggas just one time. Because
what's interesting is that when I first encountered Mary,
yeah,
like his material and my material were almost parallel aligned, right?
Yeah.
Like I had already did a man's role, the soldier in every home, various military debriefings on structure, stability, true purposes of marriage, et cetera, American policy, foreign policy, empire, why it's collapsing. Well, there was a bit of it's like having a glitch in the system, a glitch in the matrix. Say, damn, we already have one guy talking the shit. We don't really want him over here with us red pill niggas, right? And then here comes Mary, great liberator. It's like, shit, this nigga sounded like Cerulli, and we trying to get rid of this nigga.
We try to get rid.
That's one too many. That's one too many
niggas. It
niggas.
propaganda.
Yeah.
It destroys the propaganda.
Look, the mindset of these niggas is that of white folk. Too many niggas that can debunk your shit around is bad for business. This is what it is.
Yeah.
That's literally what it is.
Yeah.
Like if you look at like you guys were just discussing Herbert Spencer. Herbert Spencer was long debunked even back when he was still alive. I mean, you had his own colleagues debunking him.
Yeah.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So like, Lester Frank Ward, Emil Durkheim, right? These people were long debunking Herbert Spencer. They wanted to see, because back when he was saying all of these things, the social Darwinism isn't born as a result of niggas. It's actually a result of being born because of inpouring Eastern Europeans.
Mm-hmm.
And Herbert Spencer, who himself is an Eastern European, trying to engage in whiteness, not being allowed to engage in whiteness. So what he's really doing is dog whistling to a broader white society that, look, I have white skin like you. If it's survival of the fittest, this is my survivability tactic. By blending in with you, now we can both be against your Negro problem.
Yep.
Gang it up.
And that's what immigration is. That's what immigration is and was about.
To gang up.
And don't you find it interesting? Damn near every single immigrant population that comes to America is inherently anti-Black American.
Yep.
All of them.
Yep.
I mean, you even have so-called Nigerians, anti-Black American, like that goofball that was trying to run for Michigan State governor. If I'm elected governor, I'm going to end Black History Month.
Yep.
Like, nigga, you're not even American.
Right.
Like, niggas don't go to Nigeria and say, look, no longer are we going to allow fufu to be the national meal.
Like,
nobody likes that half-cooked dough shit anyway, you know. Like, what kind of niggas are you to eat half-cooked dough? This is how we know that you definitely were colonized by whites. Because, you know, they like their shit half-cooked. They like their steak half-cooked. Hell, I mean, you like the cookies half-cooked, right? That's why you have the chocolate chip cookie dough.
Right.
Half-cooked shit.
Mm-hmm.
You like your red meat red. Whereas the great American Negro, we like our red meat brown.
Right.
With a little crispy on the edges, you know.
Yeah. Todd said no more jollof rice.
Yeah, no more jollof rice. Like, who the fuck is eating rice with tomatoes? Like, get that shit the fuck out of here. Yeah, let's go to Nigeria and do that. Right? But every single immigrant group is inherently anti-Black.
Mm-hmm. This is true.
And it don't matter if they from the continent. It don't matter. Let's say it doesn't matter if they're from Eastern Europe. Doesn't matter if they're from the Orient, right? The Far East.
Right.
It doesn't matter if they are from Southeast Asia Pacific. Doesn't matter if they're from the continent itself. And it certainly doesn't matter if they're from South America or the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
When you have the Puerto Rican coming here being anti-Black. Mm-hmm. You have niggas literally supporting the idea of Trumpism, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people, making this assumption that, you just don't agree with Trump because he says what's on his mind. It's like, no, Trump has made it okay for a reemergence of white supremacist ideals.
Right.
And if that's what you want, then it's okay for you to lay down and die, but I'm not going to. I mean, you gotta think. You even had that fucking weirdo from Haiti hugging the killer of his own brother.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Actually, they're Barbadian. Barbadian, actually.
Yeah. Barbados, Saint Lucius. I don't know. I don't give a fuck at this point. And for the life of me, I can't understand why Haitians would have this anti-Black sentiment coming here, as if we don't have plenty of Zoes already here. Largest population of Zoes exists in Florida.
Oh yeah.
And you know who their primary enemy is? Are white Cubans.
Mm.
They're always at war with one another. But when it comes time for political affairs, somehow they inherently become anti-black. Like, is an underlying thing. Is an underlying thing that already exists. And so you're talking about social Darwinism. That's why they say that, you know, Spencer perverted Darwin's ideals, because what it really means is those who acquiesce to the white's social structure, right? The dominant white social structure, they will be the ones that survive. Though they will be the ones who gain the ability to thrive.
Right.
So when you take someone like Herbert Spencer, whose entire existence is propped up on white welfare. I mean, you could go back and look at this guy's history. His entire existence is one of you know, his family fleecing the United States government for its welfare. I mean, you look at the white middle class created by welfare.
Yep.
So, and that was under FDR's New Deal, promising the American public there will be a chicken in every pot.
Right.
Nigga, a president promising there'll be a chicken in every fucking pot. In your pot, is there a chicken in your pot? never a nigga.
Yep.
Black Americans aren't even allowed into the welfare system until the Greater Society Act programs.
Exactly. Like what? Well, hold on, because I want to add to that, because it's the same thing. And this is something I picked up from Dr. Claude Anderson. He talked about, you know, the Second Bill of Rights. That Second Bill of Rights was something that was created for Black people, because we weren't, you know, included under the first Bill of Rights. And that's the same thing with the Great Society legislation. Just like how that New Deal was for white society, the Great Society legislation was supposed to be about black society, seeking to give them some parity economically and financially and politically with the larger white society. But I just wanted to add that point.
Well, we have to go all the way back to end of Reconstruction. Depending on what scholar that you use, I would like to say that Reconstruction actually ends with the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. And the reason I'm saying that is because banking was not centralized to the federal body until that time.
Right, that's true.
So now banking becomes a centralized feature of the federal government. 1913. What does Woodrow Wilson do as a president? He confiscates.
Eugenicist too, and white supremacist.
You have two things going on in 1913 America. You have the first wave, women's suffrages at its height, all before 1920. And the women's suffrages, the motives for which has nothing to do with being barefoot and pregnant, has everything to do with economics. What was happening just after Reconstruction? What was happening during Reconstruction? Why is it becoming an economic thing? Well, America had just fought a civil war, of which replenishment of males in the population did not actually start catching back up until America goes into World War I. Even with the massive immigration policy of 1891. And so by 1913, you had imported all of these immigrants to offset black labor, which had a majority, or rather a virtual monopoly on agricultural labor, skilled labor. You import even more Irish people, right? Escaping because it's always the same shit. If you notice, the Irish, this is why they always have this claim to American fame, because they were escaping the same thing that Americans were fighting the revolution for. to get from under the thumb of the British, those horrible British.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But by that time, you got to remember, as you inflate population, you must also inflate what? Money supply.
Exactly. Goes hand in hand.
Yep.
See, that's why for years, if you notice, for years they keep crying about debt ceiling and the debt ceiling and the inflation rate. Well, you keep importing more people.
Mm-hmm.
So as you import more people, you're supposed to inflate money supply to offset the, mass amount of people that you're importing.
Exactly. Just like how
Otherwise,
they import 1,000.
see, this is why you had 1913, because you've imported all of these people. 1891, more Irish people imported than ever in history, more Eastern Europeans imported ever in history. But you didn't inflate the money supply. Why you didn't inflate the money supply? Well, America was on a gold standard still.
Right.
So if you can't inflate the money supply because, well, we didn't have the technology to mine gold at the rate which we do today, it's much harder under a gold standard to do what? If artificially inflate a money supply with a gold standard.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So 1913, Woodrow Wilson, what does he do to prop up a white middle class? He confiscates every railroad, every steel mill, makes them uniform, spends federal government money to make every single train track, every single train cart, he makes the railway system in America completely uniform, which was something that was kind of like the lifelong dream of Lincoln, right?
Mm.
America's early Belt and Road, which wasn't finished until Woodrow Wilson.
Mm.
And then when he's done confiscating them and invest all of his government money, he gives them back to the very people who ran those institutions into the ground. See, what has happened is that the illusion of meritocracy in America, and I've been saying this since I've been in YouTube, hell, even before I used to give lectures on this shit, is that they made these Negroes believe the illusion of meritocracy.
Right.
They made motherfuckers believe that, someone like a Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates are completely self-made billionaires.
Right.
When the reality is that there's never been a self-made billionaire. There's never been a self-made millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, there has never been a self-made thousandaire.
Right.
Like, unless you're telling me that you're able to manifest some kind of money without something, it gives the illusion. That's why you have niggas thinking that they could get something for nothing. No, real shit. That's why you have niggas thinking, like, take for instance with women, that women should give them something for nothing.
Right.
They are the true sexual marketplace welfare recipients.
Mm-hmm.
They want handouts from women.
No, you're right.
So now, not only does a woman got to go out there and earn her own living, but she doesn't even get the luxury of an incentivized program. But what's fucking us up is that we keep removing ourselves from the greater American ethos.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what's fucking niggas up. When I would say, the reason why marriage is declining is because America has disincentivized marriage instead of incentivizing marriage. Kind of what they did during the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 and exactly what they did under FDR's New Deal. Which is where the single family tax and the child tax credit actually comes from. That thing that they're, right now arguing in the Senate and on the Congress floors about trying to deny the American public, their access to this child tax credit for, COVID relief. Well, I mean, that's been going on since FDR. White people completely survived on that shit. I mean, they did that to organize the industrial labor force. Like, to keep that labor organized, they had to come up with something, and that's what it was. It was, one, you had creating a white or really bolstering the white middle class by expanding wealth, widening the white middle class.
Right.
And then whenever it starts to fail because of, once again, immigration. Why? Because just about every 30 to 35 years, America goes through this thing. It's called a negative birth rate. More people are dying than being born. And this happens every 30 to 35 years. And right now we're watching the peak cycle of it again. Because when was the last time you had a major immigration reform? It was about 35 years ago. Matter of fact, who was the president 35 years ago? It was Ronald Reagan. So-called conservative, but he had one of the biggest Hispanic immigration policies that ever was.
Right. Right.
I mean, his immigration policy was even bigger than Bill Clinton's. But they'll tell you that Bill Clinton was a leftist and Ronald Reagan, he was a right conservative, when Bill Clinton was actually far more conservative than Ronald Reagan ever was.
This is true.
I mean, conservative, if they were going by their talking points, conservative would not disincentivize marriage with something like no, quote unquote, no fault divorce.
Right.
Oh, yeah, he did it when he was governor of California, and then he unilaterally makes it a national policy as a president. No conservative president would do that.
Right.
And in fact, if you notice, after his presidency, his vice president, George Bush Sr., actually tried to roll that back. He continued the welfare to work programs, tried to do all these incentive programs for quote unquote families, free lunch program, right? Nationwide, that actually becomes a federal policy.
Right.
Because before it was by state, right? Which is why you have, Negroes still running around because the man in the home law, well, that was a states' rights issue.
Yeah.
That's why in some states you didn't have a man in the home law. As a matter of fact, the places like New York didn't have a man in the home law until the 80s, actually. Well, they were saying, oh, this was happening in the 60s and the 70s. Well, New York actually denied that law because, that's right, because back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, New York was still mostly white. Well, white, Jewish, Eastern European, right? Isn't that why they called New York, Jewtown or Hymietown, quote unquote?
Yeah.
Isn't a certain Negro the certain Negro that we know got in trouble for referring to New York as Hymietown?
Yeah, Jesse Jackson.
Keep hope alive.
But all of these things are interconnected, though. Right, so now, as you have more and more Negroes looking to New York, because if you look at the expansion of New York's population, specifically Black, all of that happens in the late 70s to the mid 80s. Whereas before they had been consigned to what? Harlem. That looked like a what? A war zone. So when you saw Malcolm X out there on 125th, the Negro had been consigned in New York to just Harlem community. That's why it's such a historic Black place now, right? Or is it? Last I checked, there's dog parks and et cetera there now. Even got a Starbucks, a couple of them.
Yep. Now check this out, because I was reading a article earlier, and I was just looking at like just black millennials, and black millennials have like 60% less income than their white counterparts. And that's the thing that gets me is like we want to have these, they have these discussions, or we want to have these discussions about dating and stuff like that, and not really getting down to the nitty gritty where the rubber meets the road, which is the economy, the economics of it all. That's the most important thing, but we'll ignore that. And see, this is why, Kevin Samuels, this is why he'll use that talking point about 67% of black men aren't a middle class, because it's a way to skirt around that issue. But that's not gonna help these young brothers coming up in there dealing with the reality of economics in America, man. You know what I'm saying?
The problem with even using that talking point, and it's kind of like what I was saying to Obsidian some years ago, when he kept bringing up that AEI, rather obscure,
that AEI report.
Yeah, that rather obscure AEI report about half of black men being in the middle class. Like, you do realize he's talking about half of the black men in the workforce. And they're not talking about the service sector.
Mm-hmm.
They're not talking about Amazon's warehouse.
Right.
They're only talking about those that are in the workforce that they actually, went and questioned.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't go to that black guy that's living out of his van in California, who, even though he makes over $100,000 a year, still consigned to living in his car.
Ain't that something?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's seriously how it works. But according to AEI, half of the black men that are in existence are in the middle class, when that's just inherently not true. The one, for them to gather that data, that is all data that is gathered is voluntarily. So in other words, you don't even have to participate in the census if you don't want to.
Right.
So where the fuck they getting all these magical numbers?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right, because half of the people that they actually interviewed were in the middle class. So by that batch number, it would seem as though half of black males are in the middle class.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're only interviewing those of a middle class nature, I mean, that's kind of what you're going to get. Well, unless you went to YouTube, where every nigga is a six-figure nigga,
That's what I said. Ain't it something how you got all these hyper successful niggas on Facebook and YouTube? This must be where all the black winners congregate on. That's what I said. They're full of shit, man. You know what I'm saying? Stop fronting.
Like, don't you find it interesting when, as much as niggas in social media claim to be six-figure niggas, you mean to tell me that every time that the Negro makes a social media platform, when all of you six-figure niggas in social media has a hard time surviving because of lack of what? Because of lack of capital? But you niggas claiming that you have all of this capital, but no social media platform? When you just told me that most of you niggas are in social media.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Capping like a motherfucker. But see,
Yep.
I'm from an institution that was a bunch of legalized, land-loving pirates. That's what the U.S. Navy did. We took shit from other people, claimed it as our own. Oh, excuse me. We discovered it.
We discovered.
We discovered resources in, various places around the world. And then, we had the, our Marines come in and secure those resources. And why do we do this? Because we want to win as Americans. But these are the same Negroes that will tell you, well, we're not treated like Americans. I was like, what do you mean treated like Americans? If you look at every American that is in America, they fight for the right to be Americans. Even the white boy fighting for his right to be an American.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do you think January 6th was a display of? That was white boys fighting for their right to retain their American identity. Isn't that why you have all of the goofy kind of talks? You have one side that's rightfully calling them insurgents, that's rightfully calling them domestic terrorists, that's rightfully calling them seditionists. And then you have those on, in the Republican-controlled Senate saying, well, they're patriots. So terrorists are patriots now. Oh, that's right, because they're fighting for the right to be American. And what it spells is that the Negro, for the most part, wants something for nothing. You want a privilege you want a privilege that you think exists automatically by virtue of being an American.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, somebody came in the room. Who's this? Steph?
Yeah, that's Stefan.
Okay. Continue.
But no, being an American, even though it is your right as an American, you have to fight for your right to maintain your Americanness.
Mm-hmm.
And the easier thing to do is to, let's say, not fight for your right to be an American, but fight for your right to shit on your own women who are also Americans. So you're saying that these women, they don't have the right to exercise their ability to be Americans. They should just be consigned to, dating, sleeping, making babies with, and serving you as an American Negro male, or a derelict Negro male, rather. So they're basically asking for a welfare that doesn't even exist in no American reality, no matter the color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Before you continue, Cerulean, can we have somebody new up here? Stefan, can you hear me? Stefan?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. What do you want to add on to this conversation and what you heard? Any questions or whatever? The floor is yours.
Well, actually, yeah, I had a question for the panel, actually.
Go ahead.
First of all, I want to say good evening, Amiri. Yeah, thank you for having me on. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you and hear you. I first discovered Amiri listening to Cynthia G. I hate to say her name.
Okay.
But I wanted to ask you guys, because the tone of the conversation kind of resembled a topic that was on Tone Talks the other day between him and Zoe Williams. The way that they were talking about this article by this Black woman.
Oh, you mean talking about leveling up?
Yeah, it was kind of, insinuating that Black women should level up and level up from black men.
Okay.
And also, speaking of Kevin Samuels, he kind of speaks about this a little bit. See, a lot of people, they really need to listen to Kevin Samuels' whole show. Where he not just clips, but his whole show, where he speaks about, a lot of these women, they think that they're better than us.
Mm-hmm.
They really think our own women think that they are better than us. These same women that we grew up with, that we went to school with, that we rode the bus with, that we used to play with, that we used to, I mean, goodness, red light, green light. We used to be on the choir with them, and some of us we went to college with them and stuff like that. They think that they are better than us.
Okay.
Just on the sheer notion that they have a vagina, and that they are worth more because they have a vagina. They have drank the Kool-Aid.
Wait, sorry, let me finish. Oh, sorry.
They have drank the Kool-Aid. They have drank the Kool-Aid, and yes, and a lot of black men are starting to kind of sober up off that Kool-Aid.
You got background noise, Mary. Thank you. Continue.
And a lot of us as black men, as soon as we get a little bit of female validation, we're beating on our chest. But I think that marriage in the black community has become an elitist concept.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Amiri was kind of speaking to that earlier in the conversation, and especially when dealing with having children. Having children is a God-given right. How do you mean you can't afford to have kids? I'm pretty sure it was not easy. And Amiri is the father of 6 children. I'm pretty sure that was not easy in the beginning. You know, but later on, he's going to see the fruits of his labor as his children get older.
Okay.
You know, my grandparents rather, you know, it wasn't easy for them to have 5 children. But later on, as their family grew, they grew more prosperous. And I don't think that that's a concept that a lot of our women understand. And it's up to us as men. We need to actually start taking back the reins as patriarchs. And that's one thing that's a concern of mine in these manosphere spaces, when they say, okay, well, there's no incentive being married, and there's no incentive getting married. We just need to, save yourself, black man, and all this other kind of stuff. No. And that's one thing I applaud Kevin Samuels for. He's one of the only brothers in the manosphere that actually preaches marriage.
You think so?
And stuff like that. I know so. I listen to every one of his shows.
Well, let me pause right there, Stefan.
And
Stefan?
Yeah, and
Stefan. That's
is
really
this Chaos Rain?
Yes, Chaos Rain. Yes, it's me. That's wonderful. That's
beautiful.
What's
up, man?
I watch Kevin Samuels as well, and I'll be honest with you, brother. To be fair, honest. At the end of the day, the man, like most content creators, are here to make money. End the story. If you look at his content, he was focused on men for the last three some years, and then focused on the women for the last year and a half. A total 360 come around. And the reason why is because you can't push the narrative of so-called self-improvement for men and get a good outcome in any space, because majority of men, how they're groomed and raised in society, don't think it's a necessity. And one thing, come let Cerulean late in his points, is to really have a real conversation, not just women, but just most of the men. Because then the men have to deal with this environment as is. You get me? So I'm letting Cerulean lay the floor and lay his claims. Go ahead, Cerulean.
Right. Well, first of all, man, like, I find anybody that listens to Suspicious Samuels is equally suspicious characters. If you really think that he's for marriage, ask yourself, why the fuck isn't he married now?
Well, but see, we
already know where that line of logic is going to lead him, and it's always going to lead back to blaming these bitches. Let's just be honest.
Actually, no, I wasn't gonna blame anybody. I was like, I go by how many marriages and engagements he's put together.
Okay.
You don't know. Look, first of all, you can't verify that shit. I can go and pay promotion anybody to give me a bullshit testimonial, kind of like they would do, back when they were trying to sell you infomercial shit.
Oh.
It's like, here's some testimonials.
Have you ever heard of
bullshit product I'm selling at 3:00 in the morning on this infomercial? It's like, yeah, I really like this product.
Have you ever heard of Dennis Sperling? Have you heard
what's that?
Have you
What's
heard
that?
of the attorney Dennis Sperling?
Yeah, I heard
You
about
know the attorney Dennis Sperling?
Yeah, but that's one
Okay,
man.
well-
We're talking about other more.
Once again, once again, another suspicious Negro who probably is in on the whole thing. I mean, it's an interconnected hoax. Because I'm cool with Seven Samuels, I could give him a false testimony. That's basically what that is. Fake it till you make it.
I mean, I don't think it's hurting anybody.
Like, you don't really know what's what. And it's almost like people believe their own bullshit in like social media spaces. They believe that Suspicious Samuels has some kind of clout, and they want to be a part of that clout so they can get in on the algorithm, because that's what they are. They're algorithm junkies.
And then not to mention, you got a whole lot of other female content creators, that are actually coming back to the table and saying, maybe we do need to improve. Maybe we do need to improve on this, on such and such and such.
Stefan, which female content creators say they come back to the table to black men? Can you lay that out, please? This is new.
So what?
Which female content creator would come back to the table for black men? Which one of them? Can you name the names, please?
Oh wow, you got a few of them. You got River TV. You got Chantel Simone. You got Jessica X.
You got is a foreign black woman. I can't really put in the equation.
Okay, you got Danica Dope Discussions.
D'Amica's fine. But you mentioned Jessica X.
You got Kendra D of the Crimson Cure.
Oh my God! Hey,
I mean, I don't understand. I mean, I don't understand why that's so funny. But
wait, chill for a second. You named these people, right?
Yeah,
they're not talking about get back in the table, because, and I respect a few of those women, because they're consecrated and they dared to make their money, just like everybody else. The one person you caught my attention was Jessica.
I mean, this isn't really just about money.
With Jessica X, you must understand. Her brother, listen to me. She got caught up by another consecrated over some BS, and she had to take a short break, and she tried to resurface, and the men that now see the picture start to slow down, didn't really reception, because they want to know who this person is. And don't get me wrong, these dudes are going to spend money because they like something that's pretty in the face and an avatar. It is what it is, but let's be honest. Those women, what they're doing what is necessary. You get me? For attention, clout, and probably something else. But regardless, come back to table. These are not women that are of the whole as come back at the table. I'm keeping it real with you, all right?
It gives off a list of usual suspects. It gives off the list of usual suspects. Like, if you think that any of that is about anything more than just money, then you are the new fool in the equation.
Okay. I mean, I don't think that they're saying anything that's really hurting anybody, but okay.
Oh, I mean,
at least they're not. I mean, they're not talking about that foolishness about aborting black babies.
But
okay, Cynthia G and Nyla now.
Step out. Listen.
Here we go.
Listen, Stefan. The reason I mentioned
what's going on?
You're talking about. You're not following the concept. The whole purpose of this media is to make money. Everything they said is to draw and galvanize a crowd to people that's already sick in the motherfucker head. Hell, so, Amiri just did an hour and a half stream explain.
Why shouldn't some of these people listen? Why shouldn't some of these people make money if they're good at what they do?
Stefan, hold on, listen.
Yes.
Well, what do they do? What exactly do you think they do?
I wanted to hear what Chaos Rain was saying.
Before I'm let Suri, you got to answer this question. You got to understand.
Or Cerulean.
Let's listen. Be good, Stefan. It's all about money.
I mean, this isn't really about content creators.
Yeah, but see, content requires people to give money. And if no one's giving no money, where's they going to get this money from? You think this bullshit is fucking free? Huh? You think people going to run their fucking mouth just to push a message for free? Is that what you think is Stefan, right? All these content creators
I mean,
even when you talk
I
about
think they should get paid for what they do. I think they should get paid for what they do.
What is it that you think that they do?
They give great content.
Such as
relevant content. They give relevant content.
Relevant
That's
to
what
whom?
they do.
Relevant to whom?
Well, if Kevin's got 1.2 million subscribers, that's pretty damn relevant.
No, 1.2 subscribers are white people, not us.
Well, first of all, again, this is people,
and that's a good thing.
This is people falling for the illusion, right? 1.2 million subscribers.
But like I said, my question wasn't about Kevin Samuels. My question was about when did marriage?
I can put up $2,500
to buy a million discussion.
Buying 1 million subscribers is actually a lot cheaper than you think. I can go put $2,500, $3,000 up and get 1.2 million subs.
Okay, well, that's great. But my question was really about, marriage becoming an elite concept, marriage and children, and not growing our population, becoming an elitist concept.
Yeah, but see, that's what happens when you have that's what I meant when I said you have people speaking from their own, the myopia of their own personal lives. See, it's easy for you to say the things that it's easy for them to say things like that when they're not responsible for these people. See, so they don't have to be worried about providing these people with jobs, providing these people with so you'll criticize people for getting government money, or you'll criticize these people for engaging in criminality and all these different things, but you're not responsible for providing people with any economic opportunities. So it's easy for you to say you shouldn't have children until you can afford them, when you're not in charge of making sure they can afford the children so you can keep your numbers up. So you running your fucking mouth from your own personal myopia because you don't run nothing but your mouth. That's why you're saying that. That's why you can say that. So it's easy for you to say that because you're not tasked with providing these people with the tools they need to be able to do that. Go ahead, Cerulean.
Right.
I mean, let's just be honest, bro. Kevin Samuels is not for black people.
Oh God.
Suspicious Samuels, rather. If you believe anything that comes out of his mouth is hypocritical and antithetical as it is to an overall black experience, then, like I said, you are the new fool in the overall equation. How many? Look, you're sitting there telling me how many relationships he's put together. Who the fuck who do you think he is? A young love fix my fucking life? Like, I can go and pay a motherfucker to give me a false fucking testimonial about, how great of a guy I am, and because of your content, I met my wife, or I met my husband, et cetera, et cetera. Again, it's just like I was saying.
You should do that.
Most of these people are algorithm junkies. And so when they're trying to ride the wave of the algorithm or the popularity that they think Suspicious Samuels had, they're liable to say anything because they think through some kind of osmosis, that illusion of success that they think Suspicious Samuels has is somehow going to rub off on them, and that's going to be their payment for bearing false testimony. And that's why you see, the ambulance chaser like Donald, what's his name, David Sperling or whatever the fuck his name is, jumping on the bandwagon. That's why you see, all of these usual suspects that you mentioned jumping on the bandwagon. They're algorithm junkies.
I mean, personally, I don't think that. I think that our community is hurting.
But let me ask you something.
Because they're not enough people. There are not enough people that are getting together in general. And
let me ask you something.
We have a problem.
Let me ask you something. Do you have children?
No, I don't.
Okay. Then Suspicious Samuels can't really teach you anything.
Okay.
None of his content is relevant to you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Let's keep it. Yeah, keep it 100.
And so whenever you're saying, these people make relevant content, it's not even relevant to you for you to be given such a shining accolade to them. You're not married. You don't have children.
Well, I mean, I'm for whoever is talking about us or has a plan for us to grow our family.
Oh, actually, there's already one that exists. Actually, there's many that exist. One of them is called the Initiative.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, see, okay. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
Because
I'd like to know about that.
Hold on, Cerulean. I do want to say something because, I'm I don't know if you know Dennis Sperling, but I've been on this channel and I've had personal interaction with him, and I found him to be to be diplomatic, upright, and forthright with what he does and what he says. And I do think out of many of the content creators in the Black manosphere, I do think he's he's probably the most genuine and most qualified to be running his mouth. Like you have some of these other clowns running around here. That's not a good look.
Wasn't that guy already married?
Who?
That Sperling guy.
Yeah, Dennis Sperling. Yeah, I believe.
No, he's engaged.
He's engaged now, but he's
engaged.
Yeah, but I think Cerulean
he used to be married.
Yeah, I think that's what Cerulean is referencing. But I don't know. I can't speak to that. I just don't want him to think. I know you have your view of him. That's fine, but I just don't want him to think that that reflects the way I feel, because I had good interaction with him and I talked to him and stuff like that.
Yeah, I have as well. And
now, Kevin, that's another.
I've spoken to the brother.
I'll say this: I find it suspicious that someone that is in real life as successful as Dennis Sperling would even validate the falsely contrived assumptions of a Suspicious Samuels. I just find that suspicious. Like you're talking about like a guy like for instance, man, look, I'm not a six-figure nigga.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Neither am I.
But if I showed you my net worth, a lot of niggas would be embarrassed by it.
Oh yeah, you got a big network. Oh yeah.
If I show people my network and my net worth, there's a lot of niggas that would be embarrassed by that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I'm not. That's why I'm not a particularly braggadocious kind of guy. Because it gives a lot of. Because what happened is it easily gives the false assumption that every person that comes into my orbit, I'm going to do something for.
Right.
And then when you don't do something for someone, that's when the problems come.
Right. Now, I do think you do have a lot of, like we said, capping. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of capping that goes on. You know, and there's just this level of unreality that exists. And this is what I was talking about when I said we'll have all these peripheral conversations about what the real crux of the matter is, and the real crux of the matter is economics, bottom line. You see, so we'll talk about, we'll have these highfalutin you know, conversations about, you know, six figures and, you know, and living your best life and dating and all this other bullshit. But
nobody really talks about where you're going to get your six figures from.
This is what I'm saying. Like it's this decadent veil that exists, and look, this is stuff that disproportionately affects us, but it affects the larger society too. You see what I'm saying? And so we never have any real conversations about that. This is why I'm not a big proponent of traditionalism, because I understand that you have to have the economics to support traditionalism. You just can't expect these women to fall in line with your program of her being your domestic slave, and then she got to go out there and enslave in the corporate society too. Like, you're not providing stability or security. You see what I'm saying? And not only are you not doing that, I'm not even faulting brothers for not doing that. You don't even have the impetus to do it. You don't even think you should have to do it. Like Cerulean said, you want something for nothing. And it doesn't work like that.
You said conditional. What did you call it, Amiri? You said a conditional?
A conditional what? No, I said what did I say?
I mean, if you listen to these Negroes, it's like
because the reason why I like listening to you, man, you teach me new words.
Oh, okay.
like if you really look at it, like what these Negroes are advocating.
One time you was like a lot of black women. You said black women are derelict in their femininity or something like that. I was listening to you I was walking one time. I was listening to you. I was like, what the hell? I said derelict. I said I had to stop and Google. I said this cat.
I get that word from Cerulean.
I got that word from you.
Yeah.
He got that word from
each one teach one. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
But see, that's the difference between me and a lot of people. When I say things, it becomes cultural property. You know, I'm not one of those guys who, oh man, give me credit for my shit, nigga.
Yeah.
But you know, like a certain someone that we know, right? But but the interesting thing is what these Negroes want.
I mean, you chew the meat. I mean, I'm the type of dude. You chew the meat and you spit out the bone.
That's what you do anyway. Like, you do realize that that phrase don't even make any sense, right? Like, humans don't spit out the bone to begin with. Like, humans don't eat bones to begin with. So why would it? Why would you say? Like, humans don't eat bones.
I just say chew the meat, spit out the bone. Get whatever you can from it.
Like, there's no.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people do not like Donald Trump.
It's like, if there's the only meat that's on that bone is the same fucking meat that's inside of the sandwiches in Peter Pan.
Okay.
There is no meat on that bone. That bone has been buried already. It's just that Negroes are late to the game.
We are. And I think one of the problems is I don't think that enough of us. You said something earlier, and I happen to agree. You know, we need to fight for our right to be Americans.
Yes.
And
as with every
earlier, and you said earlier this year,
it's done.
And we were sitting there, and I say that I was talking in the chat. Me and my first cousins on my mom's side. There's about 13 of us. We have an open text chat, and we were talking about when all the Proud Boys and everybody, they pulled up at the state house, at the state capitol, and they're so appalled and this, that, and the third. I'm like, why y'all mad at them? They're doing what they're supposed to do. I was like, we need to organize so we can do that. We can be able to do that. They fighting for whatever it is that they believe in, whatever that is. But our goal needs to be reparations, period. We need to be fighting for that. Where is our people? Where is our organizations? I mean, and where are our people to kick our feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk to say what it is that we want?
Mm-hmm.
And then not to mention, where are our institutions that provide the economics, as Amiri just got through saying, to leverage and control our politics?
Wait,
that's what we need to be concentrating on.
Before you continue, oh damn, he gone. All right, continue.
Go ahead.
No, continue.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I'm done.
See, one thing you gotta understand, and because you say you're not married and you have no kids, right? So my question, brother, how old are you?
Correct.
How old are you?
I'm 42.
Okay, so I take you don't want no kids then, correct?
Actually, I would love to have kids. I don't think that I'm able to have any.
Okay, okay, all right. Well, all right. Well, my thing is this: in regards pushing back people forward, that's the decision black people have to make. Period. The whole purpose of the stream is the economic eugenics part of things, of why you see a diminish of people, because they don't get you physically or any other means. Like, when I hear a lot of dumb Negroes talk about, say, this shot will do something to you, which it possibly will, but that's only one form of cut your numbers as a whole. There are many obstacles that they put in front of you that you're going to do it yourself and commit what we call suicide. And that's one thing I want people to clear understanding. Now, regardless how some Negroes think or feel about this, and this is not going to get back to a lot of people, black people, especially men in the master or anything, because they don't want to deal with this type of information. Because let's be honest here, it pushes and keeps the narrative going. Because let's be honest, if it don't make no money, it make no sense. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
And I get it.
I got you.
But you see, and the same with women, they can't push the alternative because it makes money. The point is this: when people listen to information,
we don't need to sit there and talk about single mothers all day long.
Besides single mothers or the issue of black males, the whole purpose is this: you gotta understand.
Yeah.
One thing is key that I'm gonna lay out. One thing is clear that a lot of black people, besides everything else, they still want and be and procreate with each other, as they don't know how to. You get me, brother? That's why when you hear people talk about relationships or any form of the opposite sex, it will get noticed much faster than anything else, because that's where black people's minds are at. You get me? Well, usually when it comes to us, it's always who's going to be in power and control. And that doesn't really build nothing, because when you fight in more and compete with each other, you're not getting shit done. So I want black people to understand.
Well, let me ask you. Let me ask you this, Chaos.
Hold on, let me say this. It's not only their fault, but it can't be misconception of this layout scheme that's laid out already for us to fall under. You get me? That does no good. So go ahead, ask your question.
Okay. And this is a question for. Where did Mary go? Anyway, this is a question for everybody. You know, what do you think the goal should be for black people in the next 40 years?
Okay.
What does it look like?
What does it look like?
Yes, please tell me. What should the black community look like?
Well, first of all, if we understand that everything in America right now is based on economics, right?
Correct. Yeah.
That means that your focus is on expanding the middle class.
Right.
That's what your focus is on. Your focus is on nothing else but expanding the middle class. As a matter of fact, we already have a working model called the initiative.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That is centered around doing just that.
Yeah, I want to hear more about that, by the way.
You could go to grayregime.tv. It's on the main page.
No, matter of fact, I'll post it
here.
I'll post it. No. Don't worry. I'll post in the back chat the Great Fault Initiative. That's what Charles thought. It's really stubborn. Give me a second. Keep talking as I find it.
Yeah, I'll type it in there. I'll type it in.
Okay. Yeah, but this is a plan for young black men and any man of any age that could follow in a simple step. And always, like any initiative plan, it could always be expanded and improved on, Stefan. You get me? No plan is a perfect plan. I want people to understand this. And this was the issue that, if you remember, Cyril, when you developed this PDF, you and Charles Faulkner, another good friend of mine, back in end of 2008, going 2019, that there were many Negroes, men especially, gave a lot of pushback. You get me? And my conclusion why they would give the pushback is because it requires Negroes to do what, Stefan?
Work and do their due diligence.
Do the work, which is simple. You get me? Now, some ladies, they gave pushback a little bit, not much because they don't know about it, but the point is, it was really designed mostly for black people, but mostly to focus on the men. You get me?
Oh, which is a good thing.
But you see, you got to understand that how the economy is going now, and I didn't really lay out what they have planned with the tax thing going for in 2022, which I'm gonna have a lady me talk about maybe in January possibly. That black people going to have to really figure out how they're going to position themselves in this economy moving forward. You get me? And
gotcha.
It's not going to look any good moving forward. You get me? The way how they make more regulations, cuts on this, taking more and squeezing more money out of the so-called middle class or lower class. You get me? And if you want to come up, share links in the chat room. That we gotta be really serious here as people. You get me? And you see, Cyril dropped the Great Regime TB, so you follow that. And this
I was hoping that you guys could, before
there's a link for the Great Fault.
Before I go there, I was hoping that one of y'all could give me like a summary of what's going on here.
I mean, you can read it. Not really lengthy. 50 pages. Long lengthy summary. Do the work. I mean, I could give no summary. Laziness. No. No preach that here. You know what I'm saying? You were about to say something, Cyril?
No preacher.
I mean, it's really simple. Everything in America right now is focused around economics. And going into the future, if you really understand the ebb and flow of politics, power, geopolitical issues, the middle class decides everything. As a matter of fact, it's always the middle class that fights harder politically than any other group. And this is why I always say that a lot of these Negroes, especially those of Manuspherian ilk,
they don't understand because they think that the rich and the elite among us are the ones. And see, we still believe in that. I didn't mean to cut you off. We still believe in that talented 10th bullshit.
The talented 10th is
bullshit.
It's not bullshit. That never helped black people. And I would consider it
is bullshit.
Let me tell you something. Moving forward is actually dead. So anybody think that there's a new talented or any existing talent, they're dead. Long time. You get me? They never saw no purpose, and they're not going to serve no purpose.
And if you look at it, basically, Charles and I, because of our veteran status, we use military as the basis. You know, it's kind of like the cornerstone of the initiative. Because the military, if you really want to help expand a black middle class, the military is one of the easiest and quickest ways to get there. See, this is why I say that a lot of those guys from the ministry, they tell on themselves all the time. You know, they're politically apathetic. They think problems somehow solve themselves. Understand that the middle class decides everything in America. They're the group that votes most, which is why you still have that trope running around, believing that you know white people have it all together and they don't. When literally it's just a little
they have the strongest half, middle class.
But it's just a little over half of white Americans even participate in voting.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like nearly 42% of whites do not even participate in the voting process. There is just politically apathetic as a lot of Negroes because they have this assumption that, well, voting doesn't mean anything. Mm-hmm. And really, that is a wealthy that's like a wealthy white elites. You know, they perpetrate that trope. So whenever their failing enterprises begin to fall into decay or insolvency, they can just go to the government and ask for a bailout, you know, a handout.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And go unchallenged in that handout because you have most Americans believing that, well, voting doesn't work. So whenever
let me ask you this, brother.
Yeah.
Okay. Now to piggyback on what you just talked about just now, the average black family in the United States, if I'm not mistaken, I have to go back.
But yes, that's what I mean by as black Americans, you have to fight, continue to fight for your right to be an American.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like the voting process does work. If it didn't work, you wouldn't have these incumbents, whether they're federal, gubernatorial, senatorial, what have you, congressional, raising all of this money in order to garner said votes. I mean, going around from district to district, that costs money. City to city, that costs money. State to state, that costs money.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't be raising all this money so they can travel around winning people's votes. It's a hearts and minds game.
Mm-hmm. Hope that's making sense for you. If you're there. If your mic's working, your mic's not working because you went silent. So you know that, Stefan. Yeah, I fixed him on his mic. He just went straight silent. But as he gets his thing situated, Cerulean, hey, but besides what you have heard so far, and you know one thing, beautiful thing about Amiri is that there's no lost message or information. You know that this information will still be drilled to a lot of these Negroes that rather listen or they want have ears to hear. They're gonna hear it anyway. You get me? Because there's not gonna be no narrative to be keeping pushing around this community, especially to the young youth, to keep leading astray overall. You get me?
Hello?
Yeah, we hear. Okay. You know you were silent.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, but my question to you was, to you guys, to piggyback off of what Cerulean said a little while ago about the bailout, then why did Joe Biden start fussing at the quote unquote the civil rights leaders, asking him to follow up on what he so-called promised black people, and Kamala Harris just sat there and just started laughing a little bit. He started yelling. Why do you think he did that?
Because black people are gullible and they dumb. That's how I see it.
Well, let's just put it this way. Do you think Donald Trump was a conservative president or a liberal one?
Actually, I think he was conservative.
You would actually be wrong. Joe Biden is probably the most conservative president America has had. Hell, since in the last 40, the last president as conservative as Joe Biden that you've had, that was probably Jimmy Carter. Oh, that's right. You think because Jimmy Carter was a Democrat that he wasn't a conservative. But see,
no.
Here's the problem. And actually, if you really examine what Joe Biden told those Negroes, he didn't actually tell them anything wrong. He espoused the white fear that is ever pervasive in American society of becoming a numerical minority. And therefore, why would he give HBCUs, who have virtually done nothing but squander the resources that every single liberal or conservative president has ever given? In other words, why would he give them something more than what he would give, say, a white Ivy League?
Mm-hmm. That's the question. Mm-hmm. You understand?
See, again, even with the HBCU, what I'm saying is that even with the HBCU,
I wanted to. Okay, Chaos said that because Negroes are dumb.
Yeah, but did you hear what Cerulean say? Besides what I said was, you didn't hear what Cerulean said.
Yeah. I understand what he said.
What Cerulean said, Stefan?
Oh, he said, why would you? Okay, well, for example, I can't repeat everything that he said verbatim.
Yeah, you were not
but he
listening,
said, well, why would you give?
You were not listening. I could tell. Okay, you referred back to me, but Cerulean just laid out his point. Besides what I said.
He said, why would he give HBCUs money, and they've squandered, money and resources in the past. Okay. Fair enough.
It's more than just squandering it away. What has the HBCUs produced in the last 40 years?
You're not gonna hear me argue with that.
So if they have produced very little, why would I keep giving them money?
The only thing I'm gonna tell you is that HBCUs, they pretty much created a white buffer class.
Okay.
That's the only thing, and continue to support, as Yvette Carnell says, the decadent veil.
That's not true at all. HBCUs have produced nothing more than talented 10th, right?
And talented 10th foolishness, yeah.
Who are mostly rugged individualists and not collectivists, and which has been the primary modus behind the failure of black politics as a whole.
Yes.
Like, they have been a driving force behind the failure of black politics. So when you look at, say, Stacey Abrams, right? Did she go to an HBCU?
She did.
And what was her major in?
That's a damn good question. Political science, if I'm not mistaken, right? Didn't she go to law school?
Well, she only got her BA at a HBCU, Spelman. But she actually went to the University of Texas and Yale, which is the only reason why she got a pass to begin with.
Yeah.
And the thing is her time at Spelman is not the reason why she was able to win Georgia for the Democratic Party. Her time at Yale, however, did. I mean, considering the fact that even the previous governor of Georgia was what? A graduate of Yale. So why would I sit there and focus on giving you money when you're best of the brightest, when they really earn their bones in politics or anything else? They're not earning them through your HBCUs, but they're earning them at, Penn State. They're earning them at Yale. They're earning them at Harvard. They're earning them everywhere but the HBCUs.
The top 10 universities, they earn them, not these little watered down slave schools that don't do shit for you.
My mother went to, guess what school? Spelman. Went to Spelman during the Black Power movement. One day I was at the bus stop and I met this young lady. She went to Spelman. Okay. And we had a long conversation. Good conversation. Changed phone numbers. Got back to the crib. And I said, well, Mom, this is me trying to call myself bonding with my mother.
What I'm saying is, in other words, there's no real political or social capital at HBCUs. That's what I'm saying.
I agree, and I agree with you. And you're gonna love this right here. And I said, well, Ma, guess what? I was at the bus stop this afternoon, and I met this girl. She said, well, tell me about her. And I said, well, Ma, she's at MUSC. I'm from Charleston. She's at MUSC doing some research, and she went to Spelman for her undergrad. You know what my mother said? She's out of my league. And I said, well, Mom, why is she out of my league? Because she went to Spelman. I mean, what you got going on, Stephen? And I said, well, Mom, how can she have that much more going on than me? And she's at the bus stop with me.
That's because it's very.
Mama, what does going to Spelman have to do with this? She at the bus stop with me.
That is because.
And then at the time she was at the bus stop, we found out later on she's pregnant. She's pregnant by a dude that works at the day labor place.
Okay.
So I said, well, Mom, I said, is that what they're teaching you young ladies at Spelman?
Oh God.
How to go to Spelman and actually fool yourselves into believing that you are above all black people?
I don't know about that. I don't think that's the logic.
I don't think that's the case. But if you really want to take it to the whole, they believe this and they believe that. I would say to make such an assumption, right, is to let's look at reality. Could black women actually make that claim? Yes, they could. Because if you look at
that, they are better than us.
Hold on, man. Let's point out.
Let's look at the facts. Black women are more politically organized than black males. This is a fact. This is why they can get things passed for their benefit and the benefit of black girls, as opposed to black boys. That is a fact. Now, naturally, if they're taking it upon themselves to genderize politics and say we need to do this for black girls, don't you think a natural answer to an arrangement like that would be for black men to say, well, this is what we need to be doing for black boys? So in that aspect, yes, you could actually say that whenever they make said claim, they are not lying. They are better than you just by virtue of being more organized. What has the black man organized of significant value in the recent, let's say, 4 decades? And why I say 4 decades, I'm talking about end of Black Panther era. Yeah. Everything beyond the Black Panther era is not inclusive to the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
See,
I'll tell you what we weren't. I can tell you what we weren't creating. Single parenthood.
Oh god.
Well, let's hold up. Well, let's reel that back. And the reason why I'm saying let's reel that back because you can't have single parenthood without a sperm entering the woman, which means that the male sperm would be the initiator of single parenthood. So what it would mean is that 4 decades that you pursued pussy without responsibility. That would, in essence, actually make them better than you, yes. Because women are not asexually reproducing creatures.
Mm-hmm. Regardless, they're trying to proclaim that they
most of us are not even fathers.
And Stefan.
Yeah, most women are. Well, most women aren't even mothers. I mean, if you look at,
but most women are mothers.
No, most women are not mothers.
There are more single. There are more single mothers. There are more black single mothers than there are black single fathers.
That's inherently not true either.
That is inherently true. You can go to CDC and look that up. You can go to blackdemographics.com and look that up.
Once again, CDC, and where do they get their numbers from? They get their numbers from the census, which means that everybody is not even accounted for in those census data. Like, if you really understand
Black Demographics and look that up, well, I mean, well, it's there.
And what do you think?
Pew Institute.
Stefan, where do you think Black Demographics get their numbers from?
Black Democrats.
Yeah, but where do they get the number from? Where do you think they get it?
Like most black women.
I assume.
I want to answer.
I mean, this is not up for debate. I'm not finna argue about numbers.
Okay, well, let me ask you.
80% of black babies. 80% of black babies are born outside of wedlock.
Excuse me.
Wait, are you saying? Oh, wait, are you saying that 80%? Wait. Are you saying 80% of black women have children?
Yeah.
Then you are the new
look
fool.
That up.
Actually, I don't need to look it up.
New fool if you argue with numbers.
Actually, well, let's. How many single mothers are there? Black single mothers are there in American society right now? See, you're dealing with the numbers, man. And I can tell you, there's 4.1 million black single mothers in America. Mm-hmm. And that's from the age of 15.
And so you just automatically assume there's 4.1 black single fathers.
That's all from the age of 15 to 55. Okay, so
15 to 55 out of how many black women? How many total black women?
Well, I mean, if
4.1 million.
If you look at the total number of black women, I mean, that's literally less than 10% of the black population, brother.
No. You said you can give me 4.1 million single black mothers out of how many total black women?
I mean, you can. Matter of fact, can we do an exercise real quick, Chaos? You can just pull it up.
Just give me a rough estimate.
No. We'll do it. We'll do it live, like Bill O'Reilly said. We'll do it live. We'll do it live.
So if there's 4.1, and if there's 4.1 single mothers, how many single fathers are there?
Again, single fatherhood. You're talking about a different set of parameters now. Considering that nearly 90% of all children, whether black, white, Mexican, Latino, Asian, whatever, what have you, nearly 90% of children are awarded to the women to begin with, which is a political issue, by the way. That's not something that is a cultural issue.
We'll talk. Well, right now we're talking about black.
But that's
right
a whole
now
other
we're talking about black.
And now, right now,
can we talk about black for a second? Can we go back to black?
But Chaos, if you wouldn't mind putting it up on the screen, like sharing your screen, and then typing into the Google search how many single black mothers are there. I mean, it's really simple.
All right, let's type it up. Many.
In the latest census, because there wasn't one done in 2020, the reason why there wasn't one done in 2020 was because of, you know what, the COVID thing. There wasn't one released. There won't be one released as of November of 2021 because of the ongoing COVID thing. Okay. So you may not even see latest statistics.
Let me share my screen, and you probably choose which one to click if it allows me. Let me do that now. Share screen. Share this. That number's starting to drop now. I know y'all guys want, but it comes with the territory. All right, see this? Let me fix this. I'm going to drop the banner now. Hold on, let me take my banner now so everybody can see. Let me remove another banner.
Let's look at raw numbers. Okay.
All right. You can point which one.
See that.
You should be able to see it now. And I'm not going to zoom in either. There's African American family structure. There's this here, 2011.
Number of black single mothers.
Unmarried mothers. Wow. Okay. Wow.
But even still.
Oh, you're moving it.
Oh, wait.
There we go. Number of black single mothers. 1990 to 2020. No, go ahead. Go to 4.25 according to 2020. All right.
All right. You can see all this?
What's that? 4.2? 4.2 million as the overall whole. Now, 2019, that was the one that I did for the video.
Okay.
On black single mothers. 2018, it was less than that.
Okay.
So there was a significant incline just over the COVID season to how many babies were made by black people just by virtue of being isolated from broader society, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You won't see that sharp of an increase amongst the white population.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why you're seeing all of these other things like immigration back on the table, the contesting Roe v. Wade, et cetera, et cetera. And don't think that they're contesting Roe v. Wade because of black women. Now, what would a bunch of white Southern Dixiecrats be doing in the old Confederacy trying to reel back Roe v. Wade in a place like, say, Texas? You know, one that succeeded from the Union, or a place like Georgia or Alabama or Mississippi, you know, places that succeeded from the Union. You know, the same places that were amongst the first to have Planned Parenthood. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I'll just let you pretend that there's more single mothers in black population than there really are, because that's raw data. Mm-hmm. And raw data says there's only, according to the last census, which was 2020, there's only 4.2 million, 4.247 million black women with children in society that are single.
And I'm not disputing that. I don't argue. Okay, well, see, I don't argue with numbers. I'm not going to sit here and argue with statistics.
Which means that the overwhelming majority of women with children would be married, divorced, or widowed. Mm-hmm. You see how propaganda works. Like you're a victim of No Child Left Behind, my brother.
Okay, no. You're not gonna. Once again, you're not. I'm not debating that. Okay. See, the problem with you is, my brother, you like to fight with people or have debates with people that are not fighting and debating you back.
No, but I'm not fighting.
I'm not sitting there. I'm not sitting there arguing. I'm not going to sit there and argue about numbers.
Let me ask you.
My point is this.
Let me ask you.
My point is this. No. You're gonna let me finish. How long? Let me finish my question. Okay. My point is, okay. Well, not really a question. My point is, there are more single mothers than there are single fathers.
Again, that is a political issue, not a cultural one. Because again, across the spectrum, no matter the race, in the United States, nearly 90% of all children are awarded by the courts to whom? Their mothers. So therefore, single fatherhood would be a political issue. My guy.
What, Pedro? Maybe he'll come back. We shall see.
I think we just lost him.
Yeah, we shall see if he'll come back. Usually,
what's going on with Cerulean, man? What's up, Chaos?
Hey, what's good? What's good? Hey, you post something about 1995. Auburn earned a bachelor's in arts, interdisciplinary studies, etc. That was interesting.
But what I'm saying is that even though, let's take Stacey Abrams, even though she got her BA with great distinctions from an HBCU, she doesn't make her political bones until she goes to a white school. You know, like that's really what it is. And the reason why is because there is virtually no political or social capital at HBCUs anymore. They're not even
also
moving.
Not forgetting the internship over at EPA too.
Well, I mean that would be a whole nother discussion, right? Like, because now you're getting into, like volunteer work, which goes into, like your portfolio and all of that.
No doubt, for sure. That's a political issue, right?
That's all political. Like if you look at even like the recent like debt forgiveness for college students, like if they have some volunteer work, right? And they can show like a history or a pattern of volunteer work over the last 10 years, they can have their debt wiped away.
Yeah, but see, I've been hearing about the volunteer work after some amount of years, and usually that applies to certain grads. If you like, if you got a degree in like education, be a teacher. If you do some work, like most white female teachers, they get the debt removed after 5 or more years. You know what I mean? So they probably expand from other programs. Yeah.
Well, see, that's why you had a lot of these white women crying about unfairness, because they're seeing all these black women filing for and getting their debts wiped away while they didn't. But that's because black women have a tendency to volunteer and intern more than whites. That's just all that means.
Yeah.
Well, no doubt, brother. And a lot of times these internships, they do pay. And you know what I'm saying? A lot of women will go and do internships during college in their field to boost up that resume when they do get out and graduate. And, they typically finish. And I think it's mostly on you finish because a lot of people get into these universities and they'll go and do 2. And then they never go back, man. And then they got to pay all that. Once you default on that, you finna be, they worse than child support. That's the only other person beside the IRS I'm scared of is student loans.
Yeah, man. But you got to understand. Yeah, I understand. And I had this conversation with BJS, and he let me know personally that the default on student loan was been a long process for over 20 years. I thought it was something that they put out back in 2009, going 2010, but he said it was longer than that. Because the purpose why you can't default, because think about it, the job that you qualify for after getting this degree will not help you pay that debt off in 10 years. So what happens when people can find work if you graduate? Now you have to pay.
Kind of
and here's funny thing.
What degree you get?
Hold on, let me say this. Here's funny thing. The minute you finish college, right? You have 6 months to go find a job. Until you reach that, after 6 months, they're gonna say you gotta start. They're gonna start putting you to start paying off that loan.
Yeah,
they don't give you a whole year. They give
you can put it in deferment, but you gotta pay that minuscule deferment fee, and you better not miss a month. I think they let you miss a month like once, and if you don't get it right there, you owe all the other money, and you can't be deferred once again.
But that's the point. That's why you have to hope you get the job after graduate in 6 months. Now let's say 9/10 time, you don't get the job by then. Like you said, you go for the deferment, and that's not even guaranteed because now you're hoping to get employed before a year. But let's say you do get employed. Now you gotta be in the process, depending on how much you would make a year. You gotta pay partial of a long student loan debt, depending on the loans you take to get a certain set degree. And that's why you look at most Americans, it's easy for them to default on student loan because they're not gonna be able to pay off at a certain time. So it's better to say, let me default it and wash it away. Yeah, and they say no, you can't
out of mind, bro. I would say the deferment program does work, and it's a minuscule price on what you owe, but it's basically parking your shit. You still gotta pay it, but I think they knock off the interest penalties and shit like that as long as you make that deferment payment. Now, once you don't, now that's where you get that we gonna garnish your check. So hell, you gonna have to, like you said, that's the worst case scenario. Then you trying to get that job. And to be honest, I heard a scholar say he's a 10-year professor. Basically, he was basically saying at this point, being a professor, he told some of his prospective students, he like, you know what? He actually was talking against getting a 4-year, because he was saying like in 4 years, technology and the stuff we teaching you now, the job I'm training you to do
obsolete.
Might be yeah, he was like the way it's
all degrees today in America, if we want to have this discussion, are obsolete. If you go 4-year university, depending on what degree you get. Not necessarily all of them are going to be obsolete, but the way how the country's moving.
Well, it's the professor.
Listen, you got to understand. But look, hold on, Shaq. You got to understand. You got to understand. College is a business, and the business is to psych you to come in, get in a loan, pay off just the tuition, just the hope, a promise of some future job or a future career. And see, that's the thing they're not talking. Now, a lot of black people are not going to push against it because they think that we're pushing mediocrity. You tell people they should stay comfortable, they should work. No, we're just on the honest reality of the truth that you're going to have to find other ways to get your money. And if you think it's so you live your future on a college in this day age, in this technical age, where automation is now almost complete in next year or two, that nothing is certain in this environment. You get me? So it's better if you understand the environment you're in now and say, how I can move and adapt to the environment now as is without taking a whole lot of debt. You know I'm saying that should be the focus, but that's not the focus with average Negroes today. They say we're gonna do the same thing over and over again. Even I got in conversation to dumb old fucking niggas. Hold on, let me this out. And I'm at the point, if I haven't conversation any old fucking niggas with this move, I'm just gonna start cussing them out. That's why I'm at with it right now. Because I see the playing field, they don't. Because and let me tell you something why people our age, anybody younger, have conversations with old niggas. Because you're old and you're fucking retired. You already got your shit. As long as people have to deal with the environment, that's our problem, not theirs. When the system look for it, they're not looking for your old fuck boy ass. They're looking for fresh new meat. That's how this shit works. That's how the fucking world works.
But look, can I throw a monkey wrench in that quick?
Go ahead.
Now, this for all the brothers on the panel, man, including yourself, brother. And Cerulean, I think you would like.
And Cerulean could vouch me for that shit too. So go ahead.
So I was listening to a news report on the young brother, young Dolph, rest easy to his soul and to his family. Yeah. I am gonna say the person's name of whose show it was, but the person had a good idea of what they were saying on the show, because I don't know if you've been doing any research into the death, but I was getting the news obviously from them, and it seems that there have been a citizen investigator wave of people that's in the town and that's affiliated where they have basically almost pieced together the case. Some of them are just bullshitters. Some of them are intentional fuckery, disinformation layers, and then there's some truth. And I think the person with some truth actually found out some information. And I, me as a person, if I was Young Dolph and them people, I would be giving her a motherfucking reward. Me. But I heard so many people in the comment section and callers would call to the show saying, well, basically, uh, that person is a snitch and, they should be killed. Basically, why is these citizen investigators sitting on their computers? They found out this shit and the police couldn't find out. And what struck me cross what they were saying, I understood the hood thing of the no snitching. We all know what that means. And then, but internet people, they snitching on stuff every day. Just, I could tell you some shit on Instagram. I don't even know how it stays up. But I look at it like, what's wrong with that? Didn't they just say that they wanted to defund and divest into police and make more civilian agencies to deal with crime and to deal with shit? And it's more efficient like that and no racist white cops. Well, if it's black people that has decoded what the white cops couldn't find out, or maybe they was in cahoots with the man murder, if a person on the street and figured this shit out and it's real and verified, and the police couldn't do it, and we asking to defund police, well, fund that motherfucker. Why do we want to kill that person? They was all on there talking about how that person, these folks need to be shot. If there was, these man people, they snitching and, niggas start saying shit like that over the caller saying it on the thing. I'm like, hold on. How is black people, and it goes to what you were saying, Cerruti, how is black people, brothers specifically, and where we strong, the women will follow, how we don't have that block, we don't have that togetherness. We supposed to be supporting that. If I thought they was talking about defund the police. Why would all the people be rid of? Oh well, yeah, the person who found out who really had something to do with the man murder. Why would they attack him? But it was just caller after caller, comment after comment. Then they're calling for these people's deaths up and until. And I'm like, these folks is sad.
Well, it's a simple thing, right? It's kind of like eyewitness, right? Eyewitness is unreliable. So if eyewitness is unreliable in a court of law, how reliable do you think a citizen journalist on the internet who is nowhere near the scene of said incident do you think that will be? That can't be subpoenaed in a court of law.
Well, I would tell you what, the video from said incident, I would just say it like this to Cerruti, I'm gonna answer your question and you will know exactly what I'm saying, got alternative video, let's just say, that wasn't released originally, was found. Let's just say that. You feel what I'm saying? And it started leading to a lot of things. And people have already been murdered just on right now. It's not even funny. Like the car, they didn't whack my man. We don't know if the dude had something to do with it or not. But whoever that man house was where they dropped that white car off at, that man gone. Okay, a couple other people on there is gone from being served. Just but they might be in some snitch. You never know what this is. It's intelligence, right? You talking about me to hit this man. This man, big money. His money gonna go on after he did. It's gonna be some things that's in contingency, and he gonna have some problems if you try about going after a person, man. You gonna get some feedback, man. If you go after a person, they gonna come after you. This is basic knowledge. You feel me? And this street shit. Just the car being parked at your house could get you murked. You ain't had nothing to do with it. It don't matter. These people ain't got no control of this shit. Shit crazy. Police can't control it. What I'm saying is all the fuck motherfucking journalists who we can verify as fuck motherfuckers, okay, they got fucking killed, a lot of them. But yeah, show you how serious the situation is. You feel me? I think that once they do find the person, it'll be very late, similar to just like the Biggie and the Tupac. You might have one cop that'll come out later, and he will, after he do it, he will, he'll have a heart attack or some shit. This is how they do it. People be knowing, you know what I'm saying? Feds got drones on shit, man. I was glad when they released that drone footage on Rittenhouse, because I said, man, I already know the feds got drones. They got them in places you don't think they at, and at places and times you wouldn't think they would be at. And they loan them to sheriff, they can use them. So they get the good one. Was it 50 miles, 100 miles, 30 minutes, damn near? That bitch can run. Motherfucker like a UFO, man. I thought I was tripping one time I saw that fast. I'm talking about no shit. They can see everything. They know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Bare minimum. You feel me? No one was caught. Too clean. A person from the internet actually found out information or on the ground was able to get that video. Because when they go in these places to these DVRs, people got hidden DVRs that they place. And then if they got incriminated evidence, of course, those videos will be deleted, right? Shit, man, you know how that shit go, dog.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I would never keep the video that incriminated me. That video would be deleted immediately. I'm just saying.
Man, they said that slavery is the worst thing to happen to the Negro, right?
That's what
I say social media is a close contending second.
That's like willing slavery then, right? It's like you willing, it's willing, right? Now at that point.
It's like you want it. You want this.
Right. But that was the thing, right? You know, I liken it to the vampire shit. Right? The vampire always had to knock on your door and damn near tell you what they was gonna do before they did it to you. It was part of the ritual. Like you have to accept it, you have to want it. It will make you want it. And I mean, it's so easy with the social media. They got a button they can push, and they can make something be adopted just with the push of a button. They can flood out the algorithm and make people do shit. You know what I'm saying? Or like something or not like something or whatever. Like at that point, we to battle that, we got to come together as brothers, man, and sisters. The brothers if we come together, the sisters gonna have to follow us right now. Like you said, they got a good political base. They make shit move. Black women, you know, they get they fucking what was you talking about earlier when you had said that?
Oh, well, I mean, black women have their own political action committee. Where's ours as brothers?
Exactly.
But we have a lot of niggas in social media that claim to be six-figure niggas, which is not a boom, man. It's like you're telling on yourself. How do you have this many six-figure niggas and no political action committee, bro?
Is this like somebody they just think that if the tree stand too tall and they do it first as a leader, then they probably would say that, you know, that's letting they neck too much skin in the game. What I say it as a conglomeration of brothers, you know, there ain't no one head to take off. You feel me? And since
we supposed to
niggas, it should
we
be
supposed
easy
to
have a political action committee.
We supposed to have a political action committee of six-figure men. Black men.
No. I mean, we were just saying that as an example of people who have the money, who probably have been having that money as a base for the last 10 years. Why don't we see a black brother?
Well, that's what I'm asking. No. My question is it the responsibility of six-figure men to make a political action committee?
Yes.
Is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not anyone below a six-figure can start a political action.
No,
that's not. Don't mean that.
That doesn't mean that. You see, I think what's happening is that you're coming to a false equivalency, right? It's not saying that anybody.
I'm not making an equivalency. I asked a question, and you answered them.
What I'm saying is that
No, you ain't saying nothing because I didn't say equivalency. I asked the question and you answered it.
My guy, you just asked me,
bro. I'm not your guy. Don't do me like you. Don't think you're gonna do me like you did the other guy. I didn't say
I don't
nothing
even know
about
who
an
the other guy
equivalency.
is.
I asked you a question and you answered it. Stop the bullshit.
Okay, bro. All right. If it's not your responsibility, whose fucking responsibility is it supposed to be then?
I said, let me ask the question again, because I didn't say anything about me. I said, let me ask the question again, because you hard. No. Listen, I asked the question. My question was to anybody. All right, Chaos can answer too. He quiet over there, right? He just letting you go with your bullshit. I'm asking, is it the responsibility of black men over 6 figures to start a political action committee, or
the answer is yes.
or can black men who are not 6 figures, can they start a political action committee? It was a simple question.
Yes,
I'm not making an equivalency.
What I'm saying is this, man. He answered yes to both of them questions, brother. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you may have miscommunicated.
He did. He answered it. He answered it, and then he wanted to pop off to the mouth.
That's the
talking
same
about
thing.
some,
What I was
talking
saying,
about
though,
some
brother.
false
Because I can say whatever the fuck I want to say.
But see, no. What's the problem is this? We trying to get to the root of the issue, man. And what he's saying, yes, it is a responsibility. I'm not no motherfucking 6-figure nigga. I done made 6 figures. But I ain't right now. I can say in 12 months, I got 6 figures or more coming in. I'm working on that. But if I were, and all my shit was paid for and done for, hey man, I'll be able to make a little more noise in my motherfucking local area at least. And then teaming up with other brothers.
And see, the reason why I'm saying that,
I ain't got no problem with it. If his answer is only 6-figure niggas are responsible for political action committee. That was his answer. I got it.
That's why I just asked the question. That's why we need numbers for the brothers who ain't got 100,000 that's coming in at bare minimum net. Let's just say net 100,000 net every year.
And you know what? Here's the problem, bro. Because if you're asking me, is it their responsibility? And I'm telling you, it's yes. It don't matter if they 6 figures or not. Yes. That's why in the initiative. That's why in the initiative. Hold up. Yeah, I'll let you talk uninterrupted, my dude.
You're saying it doesn't matter. No, but you're changing your answer.
No, it doesn't matter if they 6 figures or if they fucking 5 figures. It's still your responsibility.
But whose responsibility? My question.
Whose responsibility? Wait. Okay. Whose responsibility do you think it would be?
Listen,
if you thought it was somebody else's.
I asked you.
You asked the question because you're asking the question. You're asking the question because you're assuming somebody else.
Did I not ask this brother? Was it the responsibility of black men?
Remember, I'm not your brother. Remember,
I'm not your brother. Remember, and then chaos. And then chaos. And then chaos.
A lot of this women. Look, you talking real dusty right now, my dude.
You being disingenuous,
chaos.
You being disingenuous,
chaos, bro. I only asked two questions.
Chaos
I saw how you tried to clown that other nigga. Just talking.
Listen.
And no, he's not expanding. He's not expanding.
Yes, we are. You are trying to contradict by making a false equivalency.
I asked 2 questions.
I said it was a false equivalency. What you're asking?
You ain't gotta say that, dude. I'm asking chaos.
Chaos is not going to save you, my guy.
Chaos now. Chaos. Did I not?
It don't matter who the fuck you're talking to. You're talking to me.
Was it the responsibility?
You see, chaos is not responding to you, so you're talking to me.
And then my second question was,
and all of this lemon pepper, this zesty ass lemon pepper lifestyle shit that you're doing right now.
No, he said no. It is not the responsibility of brothers under 6 figures.
No, I said it didn't matter. I said it didn't matter.
Cap, bro.
Hey man, look, you just like you come on here.
No,
man,
that's
just
not what you said. You said no.
He felt some type of way. He felt some type of way in the conversation. That's why he asked the conversation. That's why he asked the question.
I asked 2 clear-cut chaos.
And the man,
I told you it didn't matter.
I asked the brother 2 questions, bro. I only
see. This is what happens with these zesty, suspicious Samuels type niggas.
responsibility of brothers
is
over
what-
6 figures?
See,
He
this is
said
what
yes.
happens with these
I
SPs.
asked him, was it the
Because
responsibility
you
of brothers
because
under
you can't
6
stand on your
figures? He
shit.
said no.
Because you can't
He
stand on your
said
shit
no.
and you feeling the type of
He
way,
said no. He said no.
and you keep
I'm
comparing
not
yourself
saying,
to some
I
other
asked
nigga
you
who's
the question.
he's not
You're the
present
one
here.
that's changing. You're the one that's changing what you said. Again, I
I
asked
never
you 2
changed what I
questions.
said.
Was it the responsibility of
I mean,
brothers
you
over
acting real,
6 figures? You
real
said
zesty
yes.
right now.
The
Bro,
You
second
acting real
question
zesty right now,
was
dude.
it the
You're
responsibility of
You're
brothers under
derailing.
6 figures? You
You
said
you acting
no.
real
You're
zesty
You
right
said
now.
no to that question. You said no to that question.
No, actually, I
So
said yes
then
to
I
both.
said,
You
okay.
scream louder
I
don't
said,
make it
okay. I
right,
said, yo, let it ride. I said, let it ride. Then you wanted
All
to
right,
get
Mr.
fucking
Zesty.
smart and talking
All
about
right,
I'm
I
conflating
wanted to
2
get
things.
smart. I've been smart all my life. I didn't just get smart.
I asked you
But if you
2
want to cut down
questions,
all,
bro.
look, first of
I
all
only
of that
asked you
zesty
2
shit,
questions.
you gonna
I
watch your
only
fucking
asked
tone
you
around
2
me, bro.
questions,
All
bro.
that zesty shit.
And you
You gonna calm
don't know
yourself
me.
down around all that zesty shit,
You
bro.
don't know me, bro. I asked you 2
I
questions.
don't give a fuck if I don't know
I
you.
asked you 2
I'm
questions,
telling
bro.
you to calm all
I
that
asked
zesty
you
shit
2
down, bro.
questions. I only asked you 2 questions. You
Bro,
don't know
you
me, and
derailing,
you want me
bro.
to be
Just because
smart.
you talking louder, bro, don't make you right, man. You is derailing right now, bro.
I'm not trying to be right.
Wasn't nobody
I'm not trying to be
He
right.
answered
Man,
your question. Yes,
I'm
you are.
not
You're
trying to
being
be right, bro.
disingenuous. You're doing it right
I'm not
now.
trying to be.
You're
you're
doing
doing a
only
it.
lot of
asked 2
fucking.
questions.
I mean, you
You're being
commit.
Hey,
disingenuous.
The,
Let somebody else
this is how
talk,
you
man.
run your show, bro.
oh
Let
no, let
somebody else.
him talk. Let him
I asked the
talk, bro.
brother 2
Let him
questions.
talk, because this is what he
I
really
asked the
wanted,
brother
bro.
2
He
questions.
wanted to finally be
Was it
heard.
the
No,
So let him
he
talk.
responsibility?
derailing, man, because we was on a good tangent about how to fix
Bro, I
this
only
problem.
asked you 2
He posed a
questions.
good question.
Let him talk.
You
This
answered
is
I
the
what he
only
wanted.
question.
asked you 2 questions,
He
bro.
wanted to finally be heard.
Hey,
Still
He
bro.
wanted to
arguing
finally
about
be
the
heard.
question.
Hey.
He's still arguing about the question. You answered this question. I'm about to expand on what we was talking about. How brothers who don't have 6 figures can still get in, right? And we can form a conglomeration.
But that's not
See,
what
now
he said,
you
though.
is derailing that. We
That's
can't
not
even
what he
get to that.
said.
We can't
He
even
derailed.
get to that point because you're derailing it.
I didn't
We're
derail
getting there.
it.
We're
He
getting
answered
there.
the
It's a
question.
train.
He said,
coming in with
bro,
all these
I'm
zesty
under
ass
6 figures,
kind of.
right? He said it's not my responsibility. What is there to talk
No, I
about?
said it didn't matter if it was yours or
If he
the guy
said
with 5
under 6
figures.
figures
It's the same
brothers
shit.
are not responsible. You said no, bro.
It's both
No.
responsibilities.
And
It's
the
all
way
of
that
them.
you coming at me with all these emotions and feelings and shit lets me know you ain't no 6-figure nigga.
I only asked you. I asked
Right.
I mean, you
you
coming at me with all the
Where's
zest,
your
nigga.
dog in the fight?
asked you
Because
2
you
questions.
talk about 6 figures. Cause think about it, my nigga.
I
What you
didn't
saying? Your
say
dog
6
must
figures.
be real
He
big in
did.
this fight. So
Bro.
as you broke, you don't got no money.
He said
You think
6
that you
figures.
can't? You
I mean,
think you
He said
could you
6
make the
figures.
The
political
only way
action
he can feel
committee
this way,
yourself?
hey, bro.
Said 6 figures.
The only way you can feel this
He
way is
said
if you're a
6
broke
figures.
nigga trying to be something that you're not, bro.
Wait.
Hey.
What's going on here? What's going on here, man?
Okay.
Hello. What's going on?
You playing games, bro. Cause you
Nah, man, because that's what you just said. You said if I'm under 600,000,
I didn't say anything.
What's going on?
I didn't ask me. I said in general.
Hello?
I said in general. And he answered.
I said,
yes
whose responsibility do you think it is?
and no to the second
Hello?
question. And then I didn't say
Actually,
anything.
I said no. It does matter. I said it don't matter if you're 6-figure or 5 fucking figure. It's still your responsibility. Now what?
that was the exact words. It was.
That was
he
not
answered
his
the question.
I see a lot of ruckus.
That
What's
was
going
not
on?
his
Run this
exact
shit
words.
back, man. You run the shit back, you'll hear it, man. I don't have to say this shit over and over again.
What happened, Shatter? What happened?
Bro, he's derailing the conversation. We're trying to get the 5-figure and the 6-figure niggas to bring the money together.
I asked the bro.
Bro,
have you ever read? You gonna watch your tone around me, bro?
I answered the question. Since Shad has told me, kind of step away. Regardless if you're a 6-figure 5 nigga, it has to be responsibility regardless. Regardless, you got the money now. You're gonna have to come together as groups of men, like every other group of men.
Right.
That's I'm just gonna lay the answer. Simple. Is that good enough for you?
Hey, bro, it wasn't about being good enough.
Okay.
Because what it was after he answered the question, then he proceeded to be, and I didn't even say anything. Then after he answered it, he got smart and says, "Oh, the problem with you is that
what's all this get smart?
You're
First of all, I say what the fuck I want to say when I want to say it.
I'm talking to this brother.
You talk enough. Now you can shut all that lemon pepper. You shut all that zesty mouthedness up.
Now you interrupted interrupting me for what?
You can shut all that zesty mouthedness up, my nigga.
You interrupted me. Why
you can shut all that zesty mouthedness up, brother.
Why you interrupting me? I don't know. But
that's all you did was interrupt me. That's all you did was interrupt me. Now I have to do you like I do niggas, for real, for real. Now you can shut all that zesty ass shit up, my nigga. Now you can shut all that zesty ass shit up, my nigga. You can shut all that zesty ass shit up, my nigga.
Can you wait till
all that lemon pepper lifestyle shit up, my nigga?
Can you wait till I'm
Can you wait to put some lemon pepper into this equation, brother?
Can you wait till I'm finished?
Can you wait? Can you wait?
Bro, I was
Can you wait? See, now I'm doing you. Now I'm doing you like you was doing this whole conversation, dude.
I was talking to Chaos.
Now I have to do you like I do niggas, for real, for real.
I was talking to Chaos.
Shut all that zestiness up, nigga.
I was talking to Chaos.
Shut all that zestiness up.
Bro, what's wrong with you, dude?
Chaos ain't gonna save you,
man.
dude.
Hey, what's your hold on? Hey, man, what's your fucking idea right now? How to make the packs go right now? We're gonna listen to you. What's your idea? Hold on, bro. We talking about ideas. You trying to argue? You derailing? You derailing, brother? Is you getting paid to do this? Is you getting paid to do this shit? Because, bro, we was literally talking about an actual plan. You feel what I'm saying, bro?
Okay.
5 figures or 6 figures, niggas, to actually come together.
If you feel that investment, see, when a nigga ask a question like that, it's because you feel some type of way because really you broke, nigga. Stop bullshitting me.
Okay.
You're broke. And you one of them niggas that's on here talking about you a 6-figure nigga. That's reality, nigga. Stop with the fucking cap, nigga. Now I have to do you like I do niggas, for real, for real. You a nigga that felt some type of way about the shit that I said. That's why you asked that question. You asked that question. Is it 6-figure niggas' responsibility? Yes, even if you're a 5-figure nigga. Stop all that zesty ass shit.
You want to put a leash on your boy?
Nigga, get the fuck out of here.
You want to put a leash
on your boy? As a matter of fact, this is what I usually tell niggas. This is the part where you either shut the fuck up or hang the fuck up.
Chaos again.
Chaos is not going to save you, guy. Chaos is not about to save you, dude.
I don't need to get saved. I don't need to get saved.
Nigga, I ain't talking to Chaos. No, you talking to me, dude. You talking to me, nigga.
2 questions. I asked your boy 2 questions.
First of all, I'm not his boy.
After those 2 questions, your boy got smart with
me. Look at you. Look at you.
I'm conflating.
Oh, your boy got smoked me. See, you're the type.
Bro, see, you doing too much now, bro. See now, you being disingenuous. You being disingenuous, and then you mixed up that lemon pepper. You mixed up that zesty fucking paprika. And then now you done made a whole shabam wham Tabasco, nigga. Yeah, you Shabasco in this shit up, man.
Either say something irrelevant or hang the fuck up, bro. Either say something irrelevant or hang the fuck up, bro.
I saw how you would
say something irrelevant or hang the fuck up. Say something irrelevant or hang the fuck up. Period.
I saw how you
What's your plan on the pack, man? Go. 30 seconds. Your best plan on the pack.
Is that what you want? Is that what you want?
You were complaining about it, nigga. Give me your plan. What the fuck?
Is that what you want? Is that what you want? You crying?
Chaos. This nigga get man, mute this nigga or something, man.
You crying for me to leave? Because you
I'm saying
bro, I don't give a damn. I'm talking about solutions, bro. You keep on. This has been 10 minutes of you going over a question this man just already answered to you 3 damn times. I'm tired of hearing the question. You keep answering it.
His track record is he just made another guy leave before me. This is what you guys.
That man ain't make nobody leave, nigga. What the hell? That nigga left up off of here, nigga, and probably did what he needed to do. What you worried about that? That man ain't got nothing to do with you. That man ain't got nothing to do with you.
He was being disrespectful for no reason.
Bro, that man ain't got nothing to do with you.
Like the man said, you were the guy that likes to argue.
It's shame on you to think that a nigga can make somebody do something.
You like to argue with people who are not arguing with you.
Bro, you started this whole argument, bro.
I didn't start an argument. I asked 2
questions.
Yes,
you did. We sitting here. Bro, are you listening to yourself? You need to go replay this shit and be an honest person. Stop being a damn liar, man. You're a fucking liar, dog.
Here's reality, bro. Here's reality. You one of them niggas that be on here capping, talking about you a 6-figure nigga, and you felt some type of way because I said what the fuck I said, nigga.
No, what I felt.
Yeah, you do feel some type of way. That's why is it a 6-figure nigga? Is it a 6-figure guy's responsibility? Yes, nigga. Yes.
I felt the way because you
felt the way because of something I said, dude.
You can keep repeating that. Now let me
felt the way. You felt the way.
Okay,
My feelings were hurt.
Good. You gonna keep repeating that?
Your feelings were hurt.
I felt the way.
Yeah, because your feelings were hurt, bro.
I really want.
And what I'm telling you now is to say something of relevance, or shut the fuck up, or just get the fuck off.
What's wrong, man? Why are you so emotional tonight, bro?
You're the one that's emotional. I'm just treating you the way that you've been acting, bro. I'm treating you according to the way that you act.
I'm not cutting you off when you talk.
And what I'm telling you is to say something of relevance, or shut the fuck up.
I'm not emotional.
And if you don't shut the fuck up, just get the fuck off.
I'm not emotional at all, bro. I'm not emotional.
Bro, if you weren't emotional, you wouldn't be carrying on a fucking conversation that we've long moved past fucking 15 minutes ago, bro.
Is this your show? Is this your show?
Hey,
yes, it's my show.
Hey, nigga, this is democratic right now. Right, democratic. I vote that you've been derailing, and my vote is you either give us 30 seconds right now of you making a pact with $10 or $100 million. 30 seconds or leave, man, or leave. I vote for that. If you don't give us that shit right now in 30 seconds, I want you to.
What I wanted to address was when he said that being a single mother is not a cultural issue. That's the dumbest statement I've heard in all of my fucking life. That dude is an idiot.
Hold up. Do you got kids? You got kids? Wait. Do you got kids?
Idiot.
Do you got kids?
I'm done with that.
Do you got kids?
Brian, see what I'm saying? Now he gonna say we kicked him though. He gonna say he was kicked. Now ain't nobody kicking nobody out. See what I'm saying?
No, what he gonna do is he gonna say Cerruti made me leave.
Exactly. Just like he just made a false equivalency for that other man. He left. He wasn't kicked. He left in the mid thing while y'all was having a conversation. He dropped off. You automatically say we kicked the man off.
First of all, correction, my nigga. What I said was being a single father isn't a cultural issue. It's a political one. Considering that nearly 90% of all children, regardless of race, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of nationality, are awarded to the fucking mothers according to the courts.
That's politics because that's across the board.
Which means that the culture of single motherhood is decided by the courts, but the culture of single fatherhood has to be corrected at the political level. You dumb fuck.
Woo. Hello?
See, this is the problem with this is the problem with niggas. This is the problem with certain niggas. He's one of those niggas that get up on YouTube and all these social media platforms capping that he's a six-figure nigga. He felt some type of way because I said what I said. And really, we were actually going into how to create political action committees. And as a matter of fact, in the initiative, we talk about how to make those. And it begins at the state level. That's why everything is focused around states and not the federal government.
All right. So really, final thoughts? Okay. Shatter, you had any final thoughts?
Right. I just said that too, bro, because what I was saying was the political need to start local. The action, it need to be local. And like that's on the state level for you. And then on a lower level, your county, your city, jurisdiction, you got to be everywhere. Wherever it's government administration, you got to have a face. And it's got to be united.
Right. And that's why in the initiative, we talk about local things that you can do, because every single political action committee has started locally from within the states. They don't start at a federal level. And if you look at the way, when I talk about Black women being more organized, that's exactly how they did it. In fact, it started in the colleges where they pervade the most. If you look at the Black women's political action committees, they always start in education. They started on the college campuses.
I mean, that's where they get the young, talented women to get all together to get a pack even started. You see what I'm saying?
That's where they get them. That's where they've been able to get these young women galvanized for political issues locally.
Right, exactly. even the strippers. Look, even the strippers to a lower extent, they got a stripper union where they get, like what was the strippers? They had a voting block. They did an actual video, and it was funded with government, our tax dollars. Strip, what was it? Strip and vote or some shit. It was voter stripper. It was in Atlanta. They had one in Atlanta. They had one somewhere else. I think maybe like Vegas.
Get your booty to the pole.
Yeah, some shit. Like it was a whole campaign. Like that was money. I saw that commercial multiple times. It was money.
Gentlemen. Short closing remarks come about the industry. We've been on 3 hours for this. Closing remarks?
Yeah, I just said, man, we was building on the pack, bro. Cerulean. I was gonna try to ask the man how he read the initiative, but I couldn't get him to, stop for a couple minutes. He keep on going on questions we already answered 3 to 4 times. And as we expand on trying to get the pack saying that, hey, you don't have to have $1 million, but if you had that amount of money, to me, I would feel that it was my responsibility. And even if I didn't have 6 figures, I still would know it was my responsibility. And hey, that's why you need numbers. You get 4 men that can do 25,000, you know what I'm saying, a piece, you still got that 100. Okay, we can roll with that. But we need to have that because you need to be able to get, certain accounts. You need certain kind of money in order to pull these different accounts and have insurance and all this old type of shit. People got to work together. And we don't have that pack like that. And that's what we trying to build on. And what you were saying was right. I think the initiative goes into a lot of that, especially locally. That's where you start.
Mm-hmm. That's nice. I'd like to thank everybody for listening to tonight's broadcast. As you know, if you're not subscribed to the Great Liberator podcast / YouTube channel, please hit the red button and the top bell for all notifications of uploads for Amir Brown, the Great Liberator himself. And, follow me, Chaos Ray, on YouTube. And you can follow me on Twitter at ChaosRay7. And also, add me as a friend on Facebook, Eric Ray. But thank y'all for listening. And also, share this broadcast and leave a comment on your thoughts and feelings. Thank you. Until next time, take care.
Salute to the nation.